a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, what's going on, Conscious Crew? We are back for the rollover. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys didn't have an opportunity to catch the last live stream, make sure you guys check that out in the replay. Me and Tyrus the Warlock discuss Monique's Club Shay Shay interview, honey, and we covered every last nitty-gritty part of it. All right. We are here to get into the topic at hand. I did not do a musical intro. I wanted to go ahead and roll over into the commentary. But before we do so, I need you guys to go ahead and thumbs up this video until it is absolutely stuck. Whether you are a part of the replay gang, you are a bush baby, or actively in these streets, I need you to use your fingers to thumbs the hell up out of this damn video, because thumb it up not only helps with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system. So when you thumbs up a video, you are literally knocking on the digital door of another Conscious Crew member and telling them to get their arses into the sanctuary. Shout out to all of the new subbies. Also, please make sure that you all have your notification bell set to all. And last but not least, please share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, whether that be your YouTube community wall, your Snapchat, your BGC, your Instagram, your Facebook, your MySpace, the dark side of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give a damn. Just let them whores know that we're loud, live, and in color. With no further ado, let me go ahead and introduce my co-host. What's going on, Mr. Warlock?
What's going on? I am hydrated. I'm ready to rock.
Hi, I need to be hydrated. What's going on, Darius? Hey, Million D. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Rumors and T. Hey, the Mrs. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Oyawa. What's going? Hey, Iron Gardner. Hey, Yoa. What's going on, Sexy Nessa? We'll probably drop the link too in case you guys want to come up. I'll probably drop it like midway through and all of that good jazz. So this is going to be a very dynamic dialogue. I want to preference this dialogue by saying that this is kind of like a talking out loud segment. Just kind of bringing you guys into the way in which I am experiencing certain things. And the past 3 weeks have been very deep for me. And I just want to kind of discuss that. Now, I know that Tyrus is probably going to turn me into a screaming maniac because that's just what he's excellent at doing. So, yeah, that may in fact happen. But, you know, we're going to be all inclusive of human nature.
Natural law.
Yeah, of natural law, baby. So if you got to get bloody, it's going to get bloody hell. You know, that's what authenticity requires at times. I also want to preference this conversation by saying that 2023 was a very blessed year for me. It was a very, very, very great year. 2024 has also been very endearing and very affectionate towards me. I could not be in a better place generally and overall than where I am. But of course, there is no such thing as perfection in any reality here. So there are rooms for improvement, and there is always fuckery in some corner somewhere, thanks to the laws of polarity. Now, with that being said, let's talk about some of that fuckery in some of those damn corners. What's going on, Darian? Hey, Phyllis. Hey, Sexy Nessa. Hey, Steffi. Hey, Oyoa. How can I... All right, so let's deal with the first part of this title. Influencers buying the hell out of subs and views, okay? Now, God. let me So I have been in a bit of a ruckus the past 3 weeks because there was just certain things that kept triggering me on social media, and one of those things were watching some of my peers in their and their paid for as platform. It just triggered me to just even look. It just triggered me to just even see it. It was just offensive to just even like see the existence of it. And so I made the executive decision to tell YouTube to not recommend this trash to me. Okay, do not recommend this god awful fakery and fuckery to me. Okay, and one of the reasons why it was triggering to me is because I personally am bursting and busting my ass regarding my brand, and I am getting it from the mud fucking up. And the way that I have had to slave, the way that I have had to put my DNA, my blood, my sweat, my fucking tears into every fucking subscriber I have gained, every click and fucking view, every share I get, and to share this space with people who are ziplining themselves straight to the front, who are just cutting the line, getting in there, getting ahead, is a god-awful reminder to people like me that this system isn't fair and that we're not playing on equal ground. And in seeing that and being triggered into focusing upon everything that's wrong with social media, it became a very interesting mental and emotional experience for me, because it reminded me that, for one, I'm working up against YouTube and social media itself, because you all know, and you all can attest this, and I want you to attest to it in the live chat, that YouTube itself does not send out notifications like they should. First and foremost, they only send out notifications to less than 10% of your subscriber count. Then they divide that up by not even sending out notifications to the less than 10% they promise to send the notifications out to. That's then compounded because, for whatever weird ass reason, YouTube then goes and unsubscribes people from your platform. So you have literal subscribers having to ask the creators, why am I unsubscribed from the platform? This is the third time I've had to resubscribe. This is the 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th, 12th fucking time I've had to press the resubscribe button. Why am I being unsubscribed without my consent? I'm not doing this manually, etc. Also, because there's a lot of politicking and buffoonery that comes with YouTube and its algorithm and its censorship, and it's not just YouTube, it's mostly all of these damn platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever the case may be. They've all been boycotted, protested by influencers for one reason or a damn another. There's a plethora of issues all across the board when it comes to these platforms. But they also don't recommend and share the content, which is what assists the influencers. And being able to grow organically is to have the platform support the content by also recommending it to people who aren't subscribed to you, by slapping your live stream and your videos and your material on other viewers' home pages, so that people can continue to migrate toward the platform, so that you can continue to expand as a creator. These are all things that are shortcomings on YouTube's part alone. So then you take what's wrong with the environment, and then you add insult to injury, because you have third-party apps that allow for creators to artificially drive traffic to their channels. Mm-hmm. And I have literally watched creators do this from the bottom up. I have literally watched people go from the beef sector to 100,000 subscribers, literally overnight. I'm not going to drop any names. There's a particular content creator who has brought and paid for their entire platform. I'm talking about subbies and views in tow.
What's the ballpark subscriber number? The ballpark.
They're over the 100,000 threshold.
Oh, 6 figures. Woo.
Yeah,
okay.
They're over the 100,000 threshold. They're over that. And it happened overnight. And it happened very inorganically. Because I had the luxury of knowing where this person started. I had the luxury of seeing their struggle to get to where it is they are now. Not only is, because it's a few of them, not only are these particular content creators that I'm talking about not actually talented. And what I mean by not talented, and I really don't give a damn how that's taken. These content creators aren't even doing anything that's worth 100,000 subbies and views. They actually take from smaller content creators. They take the work and research of other smaller content creators. Rarely do they even give credit where it's due. They act like they originated the damn work. And then their presentation of the work is not unique. It's not colorful. It's not special in any kind of way. You have content creators who have a smaller subscriber count than them, who are much more dynamic, versatile, incredible, creative in what they do, how they do, they motherfucking bring it. But these paid for, manufactured as cheat sheeting ass influencers who have purchased their entire platform are not only sitting up there with the inauthentic platform, they're also sitting up there average at fucking best. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. Mediocre at fucking best. The audacity to not only cheat your way to the top, but bitch, you ain't even genuinely qualified and don't even have what it takes to even be there, even if we arrange the playing field to be equal. Like, girl, you ain't even got a leg. Metaphorically,
you're saying they can't even maintain.
Yeah, well, no, it's not that. No. They can maintain it, but what I'm saying is that even if you take away the paid for aspect of it, they don't even have the actual talent. So it just adds to the trigger, because I'm like, maybe I would be less triggered if it was a genuinely talented person who did that, because I can at least tell myself you would have got there anyway. You would have got there anyway. Even if you would have played fairly and played equally, you would have got there because you're genuinely gifted. You fucking got it. All you needed was a quote unquote boost. You just needed a little leverage. You just needed a little push over the damn fence with your wide ass. You know, that's all. That's it. You tell myself that, but I don't have anything to tell myself when you have brought the platform, you've brought your channel, and then you have the audacity to be a talentless, mediocre, uninteresting, content stealing motherfucker at that. It's too many wrongs. I want to shout out. Hold on. I think I see Poetic Flacco. Poetic Flacco said, "What's going on, Flacco? I just interviewed William the Baddest, and you know what? I don't know whether to take that as an insult, Flacco, or take that as, I don't even know how to take that. I don't even know what that means, Flacco. You're going to have to text me, or you're going to have to clarify what in the hell made you think about my essence my bad bitchness. Okay, as it relates to William the Saddest. All right, you got to clarify that for me. And shout out to Poetic Flacco. You need to be interviewing me, nigga. You need to be booking me for the interview. Okay, you need to work on that, Flacco. So you have that, right? So then I was like, you know what? These bitches are paying for the shit. Then they had the audacity to be so non-talented. Oh God, like I can't even deal. But I had to also unpack that, right? Because I also just opened up this whole conversation saying that us as influencers who are carving out legacy, carving out a brand for ourselves on these platforms are also working against the very platforms that are supposed to be in support of us, that are supposed to be leveraging us, that we're supposed to be in a reciprocal relationship with. So now I'm in a intellectual dilemma because I don't know whether I need to be really mad at the player or mad at the damn game, because the platform itself sabotaging you by not sending out notifications, not recommending the platform, unsubscribing subscribers from the platform. All these things put some influencers in the mentality that, you know what, bitch? I'm going to have to cheat the system because the system is cheating me. I'm going to have to, because I have to find now some way to navigate these sabotages that are being put in place, these adversities that are being put in place by the very platform that I'm trying to cultivate a audience on. So then when I look at these influencers who are buying their way to the top, I'm like, I also understand why you're doing it. Because if you're waiting on TikTok, YouTube, if you're waiting on these platforms, you're waiting for something that may in fact never even happen. You're waiting for growth that may never even happen. You're waiting for a moment that may never actually come because the system is just not going to do right by you. It's not going to do right by you. And a lot of content creators have been able to see that for themselves because they've already been here for years. A lot of talented content creators who are creative, who are charismatic, who are stellar, engaging, who, you know, have all of the workings, have literally already, you know, been on the sidewalk selling their talent and have yet to be picked up by a major label. And I'm speaking metaphorically, that is, you know. So when I kept seeing certain people in my algorithm, I literally just had to out of sight, out of mind it, because it reminded me of all of the problems that I try sometimes to sit aside and overlook so that I can continue to stay in a highly spirited place as a creator. I just keep telling myself, CTV, work, just work, girl, work. That's what I literally brainwash myself, you know, into the thinking of. It's just work. You know, and
that bootstrap mentality, right? Yeah.
And there are manifestations that happen that affirm me. There are opportunities that manifest that affirm me that I'm not working in vain. You know, whether it's the actual support of my subscribers, it's their financial support, it's the fact that I have so many people who actually have grown from the talent that from the content that I produce, who literally minds and lives have been changed as a result of following me as a commentator, as a teacher, etc. Whether it be some of the opportunities that I have been given throughout the years, and some of the opportunities that I'm manifesting right now are all, you know, beautifully rewarding and a reminder that, okay, I'm not working in vain, but also despite those manifestations, despite the monetary gain, despite the opportunities that keep coming, it's not changing the fact that I'm still being sabotaged by the platform that I'm driving traffic to, or the platforms that I'm driving traffic to, and it doesn't change the fact that these platforms that we're all on as content creators do not have better infrastructure to flood out those who are utilizing utilities that allow them to artificially stimulate growth, because that blue check mark should very well be fucking earned.
Mm-hmm.
It is an injustice if you have people working honestly and working long and working hard and working diligently, who are literally running the race with people who get to, so to speak, fuck their way to the top, who get to suck their way to the top, who get to pussy pop their way to the top, who get to make under the table deals to the top. It is infuriating, because what it indirectly communicates back to us as influencers is that there should be a no holds bar attitude that we all should have, and we should greenlight playing the game ruthlessly. Now, there's a particular content that I'm talking about who literally the platform is so synthetic. I mean, it's literally happening in plain sight. But let me tell you this: the saving grace in terms of why nobody is clocking it and why nobody is willing to acknowledge it, because this particular content creator that I'm talking about happens to be very light. And that is a saving grace, because the content creator happens to have this fake ass manufactured likability that's also completely a fraud. The viewing audience doesn't really care about how strange things look, because they're able to lie to themselves and say, well, the growth is happening because of the likability, when that's not the case. This particular content creator has, like, look, I am somebody who is in relationship to a lot of content creators out here in the streets, from Poetic Flacco, who has over 100,000 subscribers, Larry Reed, who has over 100,000 subscribers, Sherelle's World, who has over 500,000 subscribers, Storm and Rowe, who has almost 300,000 subscribers. I know what people's platforms look like. I know where people should be averaging. I know all of that. But this particular content creator can literally go live. First of all, they have less subscribers than everybody that I've mentioned, even though they have over 100,000 subscribers. But they also have less subscribers than all the people I just mentioned, right? I just mentioned people who got 500,000, 300,000 subscribers, right? But this particular content creator I'm talking about is able to go live. Their videos will be at 60K views in under 2 hours. Content creators who have double the subscribers that this person has isn't even averaging at 60K fucking views in 2 hours. Sometimes it takes the content creators who have double that subscriber count days to even achieve 60K or 70K than this particular individual.
And this particular individual is not gaming or anything. This is like pop
and
culture.
to add insult to injury, it's the same content. These content creators are covering the same content. It's the same topic. It's the same topic. The same topic. How the fuck are you, even though you're sitting at over 100,000, but you're also competing against people who have double, triple the platform, yet your views are exaggeratively escalated, comparatively speaking, to other content creators who have a larger viewer audience and subscriber count, who aren't even doing these numbers. But once again, nobody cares because the content creator also has a fake ass manufactured personality. So these are just easy things to overlook, and it's an easy who fucking cares. But that's very easy for viewers to say. For the content creators themselves, who are doing everything organically and who are literally earning every fucking piece of growth they fucking get, who are earning every fucking subscriber they get genuinely and organically, every click in the view they get genuinely organically, and are soberingly dealing with all of the other sabotaging issues that come with the platforms themselves working against you, and then to be existing and cohabiting alongside these people is just fucking fuckery. But my pendulum is swinging somewhere between, like, they irritate me in terms of these content creators who are cheating their way to the top, but at the same time, because the game that we're all playing is so fucking corrupted and is so rigged, that I have a hard time accepting frustration toward those content creators. Because, you know, it's like, it's not fair. So it's like, I can't be mad that you're cheating because the test that is being administered to us is cheating us. It's actually not even designed for us to actually make it. But because you need that A so you can fucking graduate and get the fuck on with it already, you can't afford to have this fucking test that's rigged to stunt you, to keep you, you know, stuck. Of course, some human nature is going to prevail for some people, and people are going to do what they have to do to get what they need to get out of the fucking situation. But it's both equally irritating. The people who are pussy popping are triggering the people who not pussy popping. But the game itself is corrupted. So you can't even be mad at folk for fucking pussy popping. People know what that blue check mark means. That blue check marks give you a certain level of clout. It gives you a certain level of legitimacy. There are things that content creators who have a verified blue check mark have access to, that creators much more talented than them don't have access to, simply because of the social equity within that verified check mark. And that's why so many people are willing to pay their way and to just zip line their way, you know, right to the finish line, so that they can get access to all of the things that come with the equity that's on that verified blue check mark, whether that is higher pay, whether that is access to high profile individuals who also take that verified blue check mark seriously. You know, there's a lot of privilege in that blue check mark that's not there for those who are without it. Now, luckily for a bitch like me, I've been able to have this platform operate like a 500,000 subscriber platform. I've been able to get access to the same things that my peers who have 100 plus thousand, either organically or man-made, have. I've been able to get access to the same celebrities. I've been able to get access to the same interviews. I've been able to get next to whoever the fuck I want to get next to, because I am particularly great at what I do, and I have a natural allure and appeal that is just going to allow me to get where it is I have to go, which is why I'm still playing the game organically, because I'm like, okay, well, CTV. Yes, the politics are fucked up. Yes, the game is fucking rigged. But at the end of the day, you're still able to do the things you want to do. And you're able to still get, access to the things you want to get access to. But God knows, Tyrus, I don't know how the fuck I would be playing this game if that wasn't my saving grace. If I did not have the look, if I did not have the personality, if I did not have the social skills, if I did not have all the things that work for me, that allow me to shake the table, that allow me to be taken seriously as a content creator, that allows me, I was able to pull a Claudia Jordan at a time where the demand on her voice in these streets was the highest because of the controversy that was at work. And there were plenty,
was top tier.
And there were plenty of people in her inbox, of course, looking for the exclusive because, for the obvious reasons. Here it is. I wasn't even trying. I was just here minding my business, and Claudia found me. Same thing with T.S. Madison. Same thing with Larry Reed. Same thing with Sherelle's World. Same thing with all these people. So that is the thing that's like balancing me out and keeping me from going Dark Phoenix, is because I realize, okay, I have a talent that is going to that continues to make way for me. But even with that being the case, even though I still get to where I'm going, where I'm at, without having to do any of that, it doesn't change the fact that there's errors. And they're sabotaging on Google's part, and that there are unfair things being allowed to help people who don't want to have the patience, who don't want to have the time, who don't want to nurture this baby into a full-on adult, to be able to graduate ahead of the class. And this is the same frustration that people had when they found out a few years ago. I forgot what college and universities it was, where people were buying their diplomas, or people were able to pay their way, or make these underhanded agreements to get into universities, even though their test scores weren't up to par. Even though, it's frustrating when you have sacrificed nights and days, and you've gone into debt to get into the position you've in. You've had to earn your stripes. You got the scars and the battle wounds to show for your time and your fucking effort. And then you got hoes taking the most cutest, most non-action oriented, most fraudulent ass way to the fucking top, and then get to sit there with you as if you and them are the fucking same. Bitch, me and you are not the fucking same. And I don't allow these hoes to think that they are, which is, and the fraudulent ass content creators that I'm talking about also sometimes frequent my platform. And I'm like,
remember, they're carbon copies. Remember, they gotta copy the content. Except unlike you, they cheat on top of that. You know what I mean? They copy in your content, and then they cheat in their way with the subscribers. And I mean, remember, there's few of you guys who do this well. So who else are they going to go to? You know what I mean? Of course, they come into your platform.
but it's so
It sucks.
weird because it's like I sympathize with those influencers because I know what's driving them to just go ahead and pull the trigger because they're wrestling with all of the issues on the platform itself that work against us. And I understand that it gets tiring. I understand how maddening it is when you are busting your ass and you are.
But that very sympathy conscious is exactly why you'll never unite with them, because they'll be the first ones to fight you if you ever try to bring meaningful change to the system. The first step is the content creators somehow getting on the same page. I don't know. I'm just throwing the word out there, like a digital unionization or something like that. But it's gonna take the social media content creators getting on the same page, because the reality is the first people that's gonna fight you are those people that bought their subs, and the other content creators who are gonna wrongly perceive, but perceive nonetheless that, you know, a lot of the other people are just complaining, or why can't they do the same thing if it's that easy? You know what I mean? So unfortunately, you're going to be fighting mostly amongst your peers before you even get to the system.
But that's why I don't.
How do you navigate that first? Just in general.
People are going to have to, the first start for change is being vocal. A lot of people have to be willing to be Monique. They're just going to have to be people who are willing to be honest, people who are willing to call the issues out. You know, just 2 years ago, melanated influencers were over on TikTok having to boycott and protest TikTok because TikTok was racially biased and disproportionately representing non-Black content creators who had the audacity to also be culture vulturing from those melanated content creators and literally taking their trends, taking their innovations, and selling them as their own, and then having TikTok support the racial bias and the culture vulturing of it all, when those very melanated content creators who invented those trends, created those trends, aren't even given half of the representation, half of the visibility, half of the shit that their non-Black counterparts are getting. You know, this sexist, racial, capitalistic system is everywhere. I mean, you know, it's all up and throughout our world. It's definitely all up and through Hollywood, as we see. It's all up and through social media. It's reflected in every aspect of our lives. But people are going to have to become vocal. People are going to have to stop lying down and taking it. At some point, it's going to end up as an all-out war, and there's going to be a lot of blood in the land as a result of you coming for people's spot and people defending their spot. And you know, it comes with a whole apocalypse, because there's just no way to ever fight for the right thing without being severely punished and penalized for it. So the Moniques are a blueprint to what it looks like to stand on business. And there ain't a lot of people who are going to have the courage and have the boldness to do that. But that is what it's going to take. And unfortunately, reforming a system cannot be done on the backs of just one individual. It requires numbers. It requires outrage from the pupils, from the peers, from the community at large in order to shake the fucking table. It's an absurd predicament, and it's just exhausting, and it's fucking annoying as hell. The way that I currently navigate it is just by minding my fucking business. One of the things that I spoke to you about is the fact that I know for myself, I'm like, in order for like my mental sanity is the only way for me to remain doing what I'm doing, but also remain healthy and genuinely optimistic, is for me to finish what I started, which is my website editor, my web designer. You know, I just made a deposit to her just a few days ago to finish my shit, because I need to be in a position that I control entirely. I need to be on a platform where I am the administration, where I can control the notifications, where I can control my donations, because right now, when viewers super chat content creators, YouTube is taking 30% of that shit. Who the fuck is trying to get, who wants 30% of $5? Who wants 30% of $10? You know, like, it's like, so you're telling me I gotta be a trick and a hoe for you, talking about Google itself. Like, I gotta drive traffic to your shit. I'm the one creating thumbnails. I'm the one creating the content. I'm the one doing the administration work. And I gotta be the talent. And I gotta be the presenter. And you, first of all, should be paying me more than what the standard pay is as a creator on this bitch. But you're gonna also take 30% of my fucking donations. No, ma'am. This is why you have a lot of content creators who put up their Cash App instead, who won't even turn on their super chat, because they're not going to give Google that money. They're not going to give Google any of that. No, like, you're not going to cut that money 3 fucking ways. And I'm the one up here on the pole. I'm the one up here shaking my ass. I'm the one up here shaking titties. I'm the one up here working.
We would riot on the streets if we ever saw 30% in like some capital gains tax. There'd literally be a civil fucking war. Like, I get it, it's super chats, but 30%, that's too much. YouTube's making too much money for 30% to be something that's tolerated. That's ridiculous. Like, come on, man.
I want to shout out my subby Patrick, who says, I am always a supporter of yours. You are one of the best on the internet. Keep it up. This is, oh, hey Sable, hey Boo on YouTube. Hey love, and thank you so much for your donation. You know, now imagine Sable, you know, sending that coin to YouTube. You know,
just correct me if I'm wrong. YouTube makes the majority of their money anyway from advertisements, right? Not super chats and shit like that.
And they make that hell. They make that hell. All of the shit you have to go through for monetization, all of the pussy popping and politicking, you know, the YouTube bots are going to decide what type of fucking because all content creators are not made equal on this bitch, because all commercials and ads don't have the same monetary worth. So if you got a rather rambunctious platform and there's a lot of coy language that gets used, if the content itself is very edgy and spicy, trying to get those videos to clear in the green damn near are impossible. By the time YouTube will green light the content, the retention for the content has already, like, the retention window has already passed. Like, because you want to get the bulk of the hit, the first 12 hours of your content. After that, the window slows. So then by the time it takes YouTube 3-4 fucking days, you're wrestling with them to get your fucking content green lit. It's not even worth, like, I'm getting pennies on the dime.
Other content at that point. Out anyway.
Yeah, I'm getting pennies on the dime for that content already. Like, it's so weird. And then if you have a rather rambunctious platform, that's not cookie cutter, it is not whitewashed, you know, you don't have the most palatable content, then the ads that they are going to give you, once it takes you 3, 4, 5 fucking days to get them to approve and greenlight it, are going to be the most low grade of commercials and ads on top of that. So if you want to make all the money there is to make on YouTube, you have to do a lot of censoring. You do have to clean up your language. You do have to find very entertainment tonight ways of going about your content. You pretty much have to like fall into this white corporate presenters format in order to even get all that there is to get, which also then takes away from the uniqueness, the individuality of the content creator themselves, because none of us are made equal. And to be honest, I want to curse, I want to cuss, I want to fuss, I want to be able to cover an array of content, and I can do that, but the penalty will be I will be marginalized, unfortunately. I will be shortchanged, unfortunately. I will be put into a corner, unfortunately, by these systems. And the reality is I am in somebody else's house, which means that the only way that I can remedy this is to finish my own website, be able to live stream through my own website, and then use TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc. as secondary promotional utilities for myself. Kind of like how Unhinged does with using YouTube to drive traffic to her app. That's pretty much the way to go. That's if you also want to retain your authenticity. I'm not willing to be the palatable whitewash Super Soul Sunday Oprah just to get paid and promoted well. That's not who I authentically am. And maybe if the pay itself was worth it, then maybe I would have better motive. I would have more refined inspirations to do that. But I don't find the pay to be worth it, considering what I know my peers who have larger platforms than me are going through regarding their pay. A lot of them can't even sustain their lives. A lot of them are forced to sign 6-month to a year leases because they don't know. They can't rely on the pay for the content creators who are doing it full time. It's a very complex game. And it gets very nuanced as you peel back the layers. Now, for me, another one of my dilemmas here is Google can design its system however the fuck it wants. Fine. I would be more... There's insult to injury when Google also doesn't even do what it promises to do. Why should I have 45,000 subscribers and 45,000 notifications not go out? Okay, fine. You say, look, nobody's going to deal with that many notifications a day from one fucking content creator, especially if that content creator is going live multiple times a day. And then they have to deal with being notified all day from all the content creators who they are subscribed to. Okay, fine. That's reasonable. That could be overwhelming. So then you create the option for subscribers to then, be subscribed. Be notified sometimes, be notified none of the times, be notified all the time. But the issue with that is you bitches won't even send out the notifications all the time to those who are signing up to be notified every fucking time. You won't even send out the notifications some of the damn times for those who are subscribed or sign up for some of the times. They're not getting notified at all. And then you got viewers who have their notifications set for none who get notified all the fucking time. Now, the thing about being a content creator is I'm not just a content creator. I'm also a viewer. So I know what this looks like on this side of the fence, and I know what this looks like on everybody else's side of the fence as viewers, because I am also a subscriber of other people's platforms. I literally have content creators who I am subscribed to, and I have my notifications set to all, and guess what? I only get notified some of the damn time. I have notifications that come to my phone about content that at this point is 5 days old. I think I got subscribers in this chat who earlier on in the conversation said, I didn't even get notified you were live. They just happened to be scrummaging through YouTube. Oh, you're mute, Tarus.
There were a few that said that on the live stream too. They weren't even notified. Yep.
And this is the fuckery and buffoonery that I'm talking about. That's not right. It's not fair. And why in the fuck would any system want to be against the very people that make that system what it is? It's called YouTube for a reason. It takes you, and me. Why the fuck would you even want to mistreat, misalign, disenfranchise the creators that are literally creating content that's driving people to use your app and to want to visit your app? You would think, like any corporation, any institution, any business, that you would find immense value in your employees, because valuing them appropriately and accordingly only works out in not only their interest, but ultimately in yours as a business holder and creator. The better they are, the more booming the business is. But no, when you introduce racism, when you introduce capitalism, when you introduce all of these motherfucking nuances, all of these fucking biases, you create the damn butterfly effect on this bitch. So set that aside. There's that. Then something else that pissed me the fuck off was I don't even know how to explain this next issue. I really don't.
Oh boy.
I don't even know how to explain. Tan, you know, YouTube don't. That how can I explain this? So you got bitches like me and so many other people who are like, once again, we're getting it from the mud up, girl. We are earning our keep. We're earning everything that we got. We're getting it slowly but for surely. Okay, like slow and steady. Slow and steady.
Grind is grinding.
Yeah, less slow and steady. So sitting aside the bitches who buy their platforms, there's another group of bitches who also add insult to injury, and it's these individuals who just get to act a fool and be rewarded, because that's just the ridiculous upside down ass world that we live in. Like, they're not buying their platform, but they're also not good people.
Yeah.
And they literally are agents of fucking chaos. And they literally are the most selfish, narcissistic, self-centered energies you will ever meet, have loyalties to nobody and no one, completely show up in all of the worst aspects of human nature, and yet get to also thrive. I also don't want to share the space with those bitches either. Because seeing so much bad behavior get so profoundly rewarded literally makes you at times contemplate your own faith and goodness. Because when the system sets the dynamics up that way, where good guys and good girls finish last, and all of the hellraisers and fucking individuals on demon time are the ones who are holding the balcony seats, what it then, once again, it causes an internal confrontation on those who are playing the game with a sense of integrity, a sense of humanity, who are communal, who look out for other people, who look out for their fellow peers and tribe members and content creators, etc. And it makes you wrestle with the idea of how is it that being good is actually slowing one down? Being integral is actually slowing one down. Being communal and selfless is slowing one actually down in this system. Now I understand why Jesus had to preach all of that shit to his followers. Now I understand because you if you turn away from your faith, if you lack the faith, you will sell out. You will sell out because the system pits you against your own substance and makes you question your methodology. Even if there's no harm in your methodology, even if there is God and virtue and everything that you've been taught to be, but that ultimately is not going to be acknowledged, that is not going to be used as a metric, you will end up being made in the image of the system rather than in the image of the things that you truly believe you should be. And it's it's like psychological warfare. And this, once again, I don't want to make these issues, I'm talking about these issues in the context of being an influencer, but these are issues that are just rampant and pervasive in our humanity, period. Why do you think you have so many young girls who now don't want to go to college and don't want to get an education and don't want to be a nurse because they know there's major equity in their sex appeal and they can just have an OnlyFans and make $500,000 fucking dollars in 365 fucking days?
Yep.
What, like when you have when you got the game that off the chain with it, and when you got those being rewarded very disproportionate and arguably for the wrong reasons, and I'm not even going to say for the wrong reasons because I believe that the game should be diverse because everybody also ain't that model of an individual as well. But when you're literally leaving other people out of equal opportunity to also get there, that's where all of the bullshit is. Like, I would not be offended if those who are rambunctious, shit starters, don't give a fuck, low vibrational as fuck, can also win. But can you also make sure that I can too? Can the system also just make sure that I can get there without having to be that individual? Can the system also just make... I don't care that you're going to reward those people. Reward them. I can even get with that. I can get with everybody on the chessboard winning. Can you just also make space for those of us who not that to win too? Because I am an equal opportunity ass motherfucker. Everybody should be able to get to the pot. Everybody should be able to get to their best, to their happy, to their medium, to their whatever. But can you just also create the opportunity and the space for those who are not in that consciousness, who are not in that psychology, who are not in that way of life, also be able to have like access to the air and the breath and the freedom and the liberation and the goodness of it all. Not asking you to take anything away from those people. Could you just wrinkle out the wrinkles that make the wind only available for those people coming in demon time? So that the rest of us can get in where we fit in at too. So the fact that I gotta share, I have to look to the left and the right of me, and I have to have a bitch to the left of me who brought their way to the top. And then I gotta look to the right of me and see a bitch who did everything diabolical to also hold this position that I'm in. And like, it's like, what? But at the same time, the only redeeming quality, the only thing that could redeem that is if we were all given equal opportunity to get here with these methods. Like, okay, fine. The system allowed you to buy your way to the top. Okay, cool. The system allowed you to get there by not playing by any of the rules of engagement. Cool. But hey, I can rest in that because the system also allowed me to get here without having to sell my ass. The system allowed me to get here without having to sell other people out. The system also allowed me to get here by being true to myself.
And you're building a website.
But but this ain't a website conversation. I'm saying this to say that this is what angers decent people about the world, is that like, it's not necessarily that you are not happy for Megan Thee Stallion or that you're not happy for Cardi B. It's just that you also want space to get there without having to be that too. You want an opportunity to excel without having to be half naked, without having to be profane, without having to be hypersexual. You can actually be happy for everybody. But when the space for you to make it is a crawl space compared to the hallway, some people get to run down. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It makes you feel like you are a fucking immigrant, like illegally crossing into a country for better opportunity. And you're having to risk being shot and cross a border and drown in a fucking river. And it's just like, why should this be like this? Why? This is a crock of shit. This is a crock of shit. It's a crock of shit. And so I say all that to say, my heart goes out to so many of the good girls and good boys who had to go bad just for the sake of getting to the bag, or just for the sake of getting access to the materiality, or getting access to the things that they believe that they deserve. Like I would be lying if I said that I didn't know what that apple felt like, that forbidden fruit, the temptation to bite, because it makes rational sense. Like, if you have to live in an environment where there are lions, tigers, and bears, you're going to act accordingly to what's in that environment. People who know that there are no lions, tigers, or bears are going to act accordingly in those jungles. They're going to walk out without a stick, without a bow and arrow. They're going to have no care in the world. They're going to move through accordingly. So can I'd be mad that the authors of this simulation have created the environment to be what it is, and then be mad at people who are like navigating the environment and the simulation according to its design. That's a logical thing to do. If you are a part of a corrupted system, it only makes sense to be corrupted to excel in that system. I mean, it's like attracts like.
Right.
That's what it
You're
is.
still going to contend with other people who are going to argue with you about whether the system is corrupted or as corrupted as you proclaim it to be.
Look,
I mean,
and
especially because the different levels of success and or failures amongst the content creators.
Look, an argument is a choice. People can argue whatever they want. People can make whatever adjustments they want. At the end of the day, fighting with a bitch over a philosophical disposition ain't still getting no bills paid. At the end of the day, people are going to be left to the dilemma of, am I going to do what the fuck I got to do to get what the fuck I want or not? And arguing with these hoes don't change a motherfucking thing about the A to Z that I need to figure out a way to navigate. So yeah, you got a lot of society arguing with the strippers about stripping, or the prostitutes about prostituting, or the drug dealers about drug dealing. Okay, yeah. The point is these bills. And I can take being judged in the name of getting my motherfucking bills paid. It's the attitude of a lot of the so-called rebels or the misfits or a lot of the people who are arguably considered the bad guys and the villains. But those villains are the byproduct of supervillains who create the circumstances to make people have to contemplate whether it's worth it to continue to take this kumbaya ass mentality and forge ahead, or to do what you have to do for yourself or for your family or for whomever it is that your motivations are for reaching for the resources that you're reaching for. Mm-hmm. The root issue is the system itself. The root issue is the game itself. The root issue really is,
people click on the video, they still have to like you. You know what I mean? To keep it going.
No, but they don't, because that's the thing about manufacturing it, right? Is that, okay, for instance,
what I'm saying is some people conscious just aren't talented. Like some people, there are some social media creators who have to admit there's nothing special.
It doesn't matter though.
Like the system can't do anything to upgrade your talent.
No, but it don't matter because it's not. It don't matter if the talent is not what is not the point. The point is, if you go and buy 100,000 fucking robots, YouTube isn't making you. So
it's not real. It's not real subscribers. You know,
and we can get into that a little bit. We can get into that a little bit. But because the system is mathematical and mechanical and reptilian, the system does not recognize the difference between your 100,000 paid for bots and somebody else's organic 100,000 subscribers. And if the third party illegal ass apps that are helping these influencers who are buying their platforms are making sure to send out, unlike what YouTube does, 60, 70,000 notifications, or are triggering 60,000 robots to view, or whatever the system has created to manufacture the views within a certain amount of time, however that system works. Because the system is mechanical and mathematical, YouTube doesn't have a lot of infrastructure to differentiate. So even though you got 70,000 views on a video but only got 2 fucking comments, or you got 70,000 views on a video and you only got 2,000, or you only got 2,000 subscribers, but all your videos are averaging in the 20s and 30Ks, etc. Right. You guess why?
Get into the weeds.
Hold on. Do you know why that content creator doesn't have to give a fuck about not being a organic bitch? Because at the end of the day, they're getting paid, and that's the whole point. Nobody gives a fuck about the integrity part. At the end of the day, getting to the bag, getting all of the bag, and getting to the clout, because there's nothing external that is recognizing the falsity of the system that I'm using to generate my clout. A lot of people from the outside cannot look at any content creator or any platform and truly assess whether the platform is organically standing or has been man-made. Because there's also natural forces at work that have a lot of people's platforms who have been genuinely created looking lopsided as hell. So it can look disproportionate like that even when it's not paid for. And it's an organic mud house made out of organic materials. But your house can look just as weird and all over the place just because the system itself is just ridiculous. It's just a mess. And this is why all of it exists in one pot. But what is the incentive for a creator to stop doing what they're doing, who's buying their views, when they knew their incentive to do that was to make a lot of money and was to get a certain level of clout and equity as an influencer put on them? And if they can buy that and be rewarded by the system, do you think those people are sitting back at the end of the day in their bed like, oh, I feel so bad for myself because I don't get the luxury of genuinely knowing I earned my keep? Hell no. Long as people got an account that's thriving and people ultimately get to do the shit they intended to do, nobody gives a fuck up really about how they got to where they got, because everybody is after the goal in mind. And that's why people really don't give a fuck about whatever methods they have to use to get to where it is they have to go. They're only focused on the getting there. Don't give a fuck if they had to get there by selling you out, or get there by sucking dick, or get there by cheating on somebody else's shit, or get like the person who's cheating on everybody's test paper in class. Don't give a fuck that he had to cheat to get that A. He just fucking happy he got that goddamn A. He ain't wrestling with himself like, you know what, I should really just work my ass off and study more and organically be a smart person. Hell fucking no. I don't give a fuck about really being a smart person. What I do want to do though is pass. What I do want to do though is graduate. I don't give a fuck about whether, I'm smart or not. If there's a way for me to fucking avoid doing the work and just get to the point, I'm going to fucking do that.
All right. And so what you're describing for the system, aka YouTube, to be able to solve this problem would cost millions of dollars in R&D for a problem to them that doesn't even exist. And for the point of the platform is to make a shit ton of money. They are making a shit ton of money. Like that's it. That's a private corporation for you. They set the rules. You can either do
that's a capitalistic system for you, as I said. I'm not shook. I completely understand because the system is in on it. The system is fucking, that's what allows there to be all these scapegoats and allow there to be all these avenues, because the system is capitalistic itself. It don't give a fuck. So once again, I'm clear about why it's all upside down. Like, I'm not unclear about why the fuck is all upside down. Nonetheless, it's unfair, it's fucking corrupted, and it's really dehumanizing.
But see, that's the thing. I agree with you that it's unfair. It just sucks because Conscious was also true, is that the first step, in theory, if we really try to crack this system and get to the get to the root problem and actually have a solution, the first roadblock is the people that are taking advantage of the system. You get what I mean? We don't even, there's so many steps before we even actually get to the man. There's so many people that are your colleagues, your coworkers that you gotta battle with first, because they're gonna be like, why should I change the rules that I succeeded in? You get what I mean? That's going to be
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
nobody cares about the integrity.
Yeah.
That's not a point in business. That's not a point. Like most, especially in the West, we accept that our business model is completely left brain. Fuck your feelings, fuck your integrity. It's literally about being competitive. It's about being a fucking athlete. It's about, like, if you got to steroid your way to the results, whatever the fuck it is. Like, we don't care how it offsets one motherfucking ecosystem in order to leverage another. Like, if it costs the Middle East, so be it. Like, if it requires child slave labor, so fucking be it. Like, the system is completely heartless because the business model is completely left brain and all fucking masculine. There is no feminine virtue in sight. So God bless those who taking advantage of the system in that way, and they're using the system against itself. While I have a moral appeal, while I will make a moral appeal to that, I also equally find it to be a rational response. It's a logical response. But morally, this is insane. It's insane. Now, moving on from that, I got a question to you. Do you believe in God? Are you on mute?
I believe in something. I believe in a deity. I believe in something. What about you? Well, obviously that's a yes, but more specifically a Christian God, right?
Okay, shit, about to get real interesting. So, I am like undergoing another spiritual awakening,
Okay.
which might remove some of the spiritual part, just a fucking awakening. Because I'm a student of life and I'm a seeker of truth. And I am always willing to confront my perception of things and to do the hard work. I'm willing to become Humpty Dumpty and throw myself off the wall and become undone and recreate myself, as terrifying, aggravating, annoying, and death-defying as that is to do. Because I cannot guarantee my own survival when I do that. But yet, I am committed to always going down the journey if that's where life brings me to. And I have been rendezvousing with a lot of Christians that have just been getting on my last fucking nerve. I have been rendezvousing with a lot of religious people that are getting on my last fucking nerve. And as a result of them getting on my last fucking nerve, it has defaulted me to playing devil's advocate, and now I've actually found myself genuinely contemplating or like unpacking and unearthing it all as a result of naturally rebelling against their delusional bullshit, and found myself over the past few weeks contemplating if not only God exists, but like all the other alternative theories about existence. Now, what I want to say before I go any further is I believe in a creator force, and I don't even feel like I have to even say believe. I feel like it is evident to common sense that the world was created, that the universe was created, that the multiverse was created. I'm a created thing. There is far too much order that has come about as a result of the chaos of the universe for me to psych myself out of believing in a intentionality that is completely present in the world as far as I'm concerned. So as far as I'm concerned, God is evident. Now, what God is, I cannot tell you. What God thinks, what God wants, what God feels, what God perceives, what God is a sum total of, what makes up God, if it's God's, I don't have a objective anything to that. I have perceptions of that. Now, I believe and I can see there's a creative force. However, the real question that I've been having as a result of contending with these religious people who have been making me want to disassociate with any religious philosophy in existence. They like sometimes religious people, as well-meaning as they are, they just turn you off to the mythology and the philosophy as a whole because they're just so terrible at holding the philosophy and presenting the philosophy, and the things they do with the philosophy are just so. Now, the question that is interesting to me is God involved in the nurture and cultivation and direction of humanity in the way that some of these religions have made us believe or attempted to get us to believe God is? I can completely consider the fact that God painted the picture and moved the fuck on. And that it could be very much so true that we're on our own, bobbing around here in this fucking dimension. That there is no savior. There is no savior that's coming back. There is no supervision. That the parent left the house and is on a shopping spree. Okay, the kids are on their own, baby. Okay, we are left to our own devices. And that may explain why human history looks as fucked up as it does. Because clearly, if there was a force that was present in the way that some religious philosophies would have us believe, then how in the fuck could human history have looked as devastating at times as it did? Where was this force during the Ice Age? Where was this force during the Dark Ages of the Church? Where was this force during the Holocaust? Where was this force during the enslavement of African people? Where was this force during the bubonic plague that raged through Europe? Where was this force when millions of people lost their life due to the last pandemic? I can see there's a force. I am a byproduct of the force, of the creative force. But what else do we actually know aside from that? That's where a lot of it knocks that people just leave it at. They can acknowledge a force, but that's all. There's nothing else happening in the world that's happening in creation that is providing any other information about God other than that it's a creative force, if nothing else. Everything else seems to be up for grabs. What are your thoughts about, I mean, because even you just said basically you are agnostic. You can't make anything of it other than the fact that you believe something is there. I mean, just because you have common fucking sense and can look at your own body and can look at the reality of the world and come to a rational conclusion that obviously this isn't by accident. But what else?
I definitely think there's variations of, I'll call it intelligence, awareness, consciousness, evolution. I think there was a god or a deity or something that created whatever we know as the universe or the multiverse. I don't think this particular deity or deities give a shit about mortal beings, which includes human beings. I think if we are lucky enough or just so happen to evolve enough to be aware of their existence or aware of, you know, the cosmic universe, then so be it. We get to travel down that path. But there's plenty of life forms that I guess would have no awareness of what a god or deity would be, right? So no, I don't think there's any sort of divine intervention, especially with the religious slant, because I just think as a god and deity with the religious slant, with the whole man-made image, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you motherfuckers free will. Why would I, as a god, let you motherfuckers do anything on your own? No, you're going to do what I say when I say it. Because I created you, you are mine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
but what if that takes
and you see that, you actually see that play out with a lot of these religious beliefs with Christian. There's a lot of like possessiveness intertwined in it.
But what if that takes all of the fun out of it? Like, even look at, like, because I believe that a lot of things that we do as humans are like, they give us insights into the psychology of the creator or creators, such as like our need to create virtual reality or to create AI. And now we are so enamored and curious by the AI thing that we are striving to attempt to make AI actually sentient, while also being completely aware of how disastrous that could be to allow artificial intelligence to achieve self-awareness. But what if that also... So, on the other hand, it could be argued, why would God create a bunch of programmable robots when all the action and fun is in watching this consciousness take on a self and a desire and a personification of its own and bob around the table like a wind-up toy? Because we like things that are also interactive, whether it's other people or whether it's games or toys. We like things that can talk back, things that have its own individuality, that has its own expression. And I would imagine, since we exist and then we come here and we create PS4s and Nintendos and we create robots and AI and all of this shit, that, oh, okay, maybe this is the way God, maybe this is what the creator wanted it. The creator wanted to create a space where consciousness could evolve and be, and God is just observing the aquarium, just like we do when we go to the damn zoo and we're just watching life team
or ant farm or something like that. Yeah.
like what if humanity is a social experiment for the creator? Like, it's like God just provided all of the fundamentals for life, and then it's just getting a kick off of just what becomes. But because we are the created thing and we feel we are experiencing life, of course, for us, that seems completely absurd, because we believe in our lives. We believe in the pain that happens to us. We believe in the violence that happens to us. We believe in the experiences we have. So the fact that, you know, we're on this side of it, of a vantage point, but then the creator, just like, think of I think Toy Story could be a perfect illustration of the intention of the creator. Here it is, you have Andy, who has these toys that are animated, and then he outgrows them. And then they found their purpose in serving him, but now he's unavailable and intangible, and they just have to figure out what the fuck it means to be who they are. And then these epic adventures ensue as a result of them having nothing else to do but to figure out what the fuck is supposed to come next, and what do we do with ourselves, and etc. And why can't that also be equally true about our place in this earth, that we are G.I. Joes and figurines in God's toy box, and God played for a time, and then God left and got preoccupied with other things. And so when our children are dying, and when, you know, communities of folk are being genocided, there's no intervention, because we are figurines that don't have any other intrinsic value other than have been interesting for a time. We were created for a time. We were created for a purpose in the moment. And then God was gracious enough not to fucking destroy us after it was done with us. It just left us be, and we just been here being.
Right, but the flip side to that is an all-powerful God who enslaves everyone, and that leads to its own problems, because that naturally breeds resistance.
Do you believe that
if I leave you guys to your own accord, I ain't got to deal with your shit. You know what I mean?
Do you believe that we are enslaved? Because I don't feel we're enslaved per se.
No, I'm saying that's the flip side to a God that micromanages. You know what I mean? Because yeah, we got an absent father. Well, what if we got a helicopter parent? I'm not sure that would turn out well.
So the other narrative then can be that God is a gentleman, and God is a gentle parent, and God is there, but God's there in a gentle, soft way, because God also respects our own independence and respects our own autonomy and agency. Therefore, refuses to be the helicopter dad, but, you know, steps in when need be, or is there if need be. But what seems to be the actual case to you, with everything that you have observed in your own life, with everything that you have seen throughout history? What do you believe God's posture is toward humanity? Do you see a force that's involved? Do you see a force that has an intimate relationship to its creations? Like, what do you feel you see?
I see a universe that was meant for life forms like us to explore. I think that's intentional. I do not. I spoke about this a while ago. I think it's inherent when you look at us, at least as men, we want to explore. We want to go into the unknown. We're not scared of that shit. We want to go head first, waist deep, right? And the universe is the perfect place to just explore God's creation, right? Because no matter how we describe this deity, we all agree that he, she, they created all this shit, right? The solar system, Andromeda galaxy, the black holes, all that shit. Well, what is it? So for me, that's the intention, is to, you know, I hate to be nerdy, but humanity to really be on that Star Trek shit. You know what I mean? Because there's that inherent nature in us. Maybe it's because we're mammals. We got lucky enough to evolve as mammals, so we're inherently socialized creatures. We crave that community and everything like that. And so I think our destiny is to explore the universe and to essentially become, I mean, we're already one species. Think about that. There wasn't just human beings. There was Homo erectus and the Neanderthals and the Dividians, or however they pronounce that. You know what I mean? Like, and now there is legitimately just one species on this planet. Next is, you know what I mean? We really start taking that to the next level. I think that's intentional. I just don't think there's a specific guideline that God gives to any special life form. Like, I don't think he goes out of his or her way to be like, yo, humans, I'm gonna give you a leg up over here. Because I could look at history and be like, ooh, or if that's your version of a leg up, we could have been better off without it. And so I don't think he takes it, he or she, I'm just gonna say he, general. I don't think he takes an active role in any sort of life form, but I do think he takes an active form in the life forms that have the ability to evolve consciously enough to actually understand who he is. Like, to actually be able to, because you know what I'm saying? Like how we don't have the senses right now to process some of like 4D or like different dimensions and everything like that. We can't process it because we can't even understand that. I think he rewards those life forms who evolve enough to actually understand and see who he is. I think that's the intention, is for those special life forms to get to that evolution.
Shauna, welcome to the platform.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Shauna.
Hey. I have a quick question. Back to the other subject. How do people buy bots? I'm just curious. How do people buy subscribers? How's that work?
Third-party entities. Now I don't know how it works from the third party's perspective. But because I get like, I know for me, I get like a lot of spam, or things that are listed as spam, like in my Instagram DMs and stuff. And there's always these like systems and pages that are offering like 20,000 followers for $100 or da 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 da. But I don't know what that looks like in terms of the other side. I don't know how they're funneling that in, but I've heard other creators speak about that, and I want to say that I heard one creator say that usually there's a website that, or some type of app that you have to connect your actual page to, and then like every time you go live, because your page is integrated into kind of like StreamYard's relationship to YouTube, like you know, how I can like how I can go live from StreamYard and create things on this side, and then activate like my platform over here on YouTube or Facebook and all the other sites. So I did something like that. And so whatever the third party is doing, yeah, they're funneling in, or they're activating these like all these like accounts that they have access to for one reason or another. I remember like last year I had to like literally go and unfollow so many people on Instagram because I never even followed these people. Like I never even consciously followed like half the people that I was following. And I realized that these people had to have brought some of their subscribers, which is how I ended up, for whatever reason, as a follower of theirs. You know, how that's happening like from the inside, like I said, I don't really know, but it's
I wonder if it's like buying emails. You know how companies will sell your email or your phone number. I bet it has something, because I can't even wrap my mind around. I review technology, so I can't even imagine But that makes sense. You know, how companies buy emails and phone numbers and then they solicit whatever and things go to spam and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I can imagine that. But one other thing I want to say about that, the other subject, I've watched I've seen two that come to mind, YouTubers. One I saw at 20,000, and you're familiar with them, Mims, Make It Make Sense, and who just recently blew up and went to 100, which is a wow to me. And I think it's for him watching it in real time, because I haven't seen too many. I've only been really concentrating on YouTube since the Carisha 19. So him and another YouTuber, she does like law stuff, and it's like one subject or one moment in time is what blasts people to the top. So it's definitely I think it occurs more than we even know about.
And that can happen too, because that has happened to my platform where depending on something that I've covered, like you may hit a spike and then you have a quantum leap. Like I remember during the whole Unhinged and Kiwi Studios drama, like I literally escalated like 10,000 subscribers off of that saga. And I was literally growing like every fucking day. Yeah. Because all of that shit was driving, obviously, traffic to my platform. Because this is where everybody was handling their business at. I remember when this was like years ago when I was doing the Larry Reed E. Dewey litigation, and that also escalated my platform. I think I had got like 7,000 subscribers off that. Then I remember the T.S. Madison and Kaya fallout. Yeah, that had also escalated my platform. So you can hit these like potholes that like give you a quantum leap forward, you know. So that can so that happens too. And that's fine, because all of that is organic. Like if you find your niche or you find a pocket, you find a pocket. Yeah. And I think it's definitely possible I can understand the being discouraged and watching others, but I'm just thinking about your own words that you've said. It's like you stay in your own lane, and where you are is where you will be, or where you be is where you are. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't pay attention to those other folks, because it only has the potential putting you in a funky place. I mean, it'd be different. I mean, imagine all the people who haven't thought things were possible, and it happens, and they elevate to whatever level that they want, not how they see other people. So it's possible. It's just you got to be true to you and continue to operate in integrity, because I think you're doing just fine. You know, it's been a minute trying to get out of these past couple thousand, but like I said before, I watched a YouTuber when I started watching her. She does court cases. It was 200,000, and then 3 years later she's at 700,000. Granted, a Black YouTuber, to be honest, is not going to. That's the reality of it. It's not going to necessarily elevate exponentially or whatever like that, unless it's some kind of niche that like law. But even that, I do think there's definitely. I don't think you can deny Black. The discrimination but against Black people, but all the people, even the Black YouTubers who I see growing hundreds of thousands, all they've done, I mean, Sherelle's World, she's grown organically. Even Lovely T. I mean, I was just, while you were talking, I was scrolling through your old lives, or your old you've been on here 7-8 years. I've been it's whenever my T.S. Madison.
Wait, that's when you blew up. You have had videos on here. Yeah. For 7-8 years. It's like, Lovely T, she, she's been doing this shit, which I liked her and unsubscribed and came back and all that kind of stuff off and on for the past few years. But, she's been doing it for 13 years. It's definitely, and she did, I mean, she was the first person. I was in a live one time and there were 10,000 people. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I had never seen that. Even with the white subscribers, and granted, I'm sure they exist, the YouTube world universe is wide and vast and infinite, but I had never seen that, and especially being a Black YouTuber. So it's like the only reason why she's done that is she's long and slow and committed and to the game and evolving as times change. Like she even just recently, she's kind of changed up her platform. So it's I understand that you being discouraged, but the only thing is knowing you enough of past few years I have is just keep doing you and evolve to the way the world evolves, but keeping that same integrity, because I think that's what wins in the long run. And sometimes it doesn't, but that's not you. I mean, who wants to be inauthentic? And I don't think some people don't mind it, but you'll always have those people in any industry. So you just have to do what feels comfortable for you. But back to the God thing. When people would talk about simulation, I never really understood what they meant. And I understand that now. It's like one energy, one entity governing over, this universe. And I don't necessarily believe that. I think it's way more. It's concentrated, but it's also
a simulation is the theory that we are living in an artificial virtual reality, and equivalent to that, in which we put characters like the Sims in, like completely fictitious existence.
And I have a hard time really understanding that on an energetic level for myself. I think we're I finally just recently, I'm going through my own awakening, is that I think it's a human experience. We're having a human experience, and transhumanism, which I just looked that up and learned today, and I think it's amazing that you're talking about that. Is that that's the next evolution of our human experience. And if the human experience becomes quote unquote non-human, but I think also the what they call sentient beings, I think that's kind of the same. It's the energy of the soul transferring into a different body. I think it's same. It's ever changing, and I think for this to be all just like whatever is happening is happening. I see so many patterns between and relationships between us as human beings and the air we breathe, the tree we see, the vehicles. There's so many similarities and patterns that it's not accidental. It's the same thing, just in different forms.
Shauna, I mostly agree with you, but I will say this. If there comes a time where human beings, mortal flesh and bone human beings, create sentient AI, like real conscious AI, that will have me question a lot of things about, well, okay, how structured was this really? Because if us as mortals, non-gods, are able to create life, that raises a lot of questions.
But I guess that's the difference in my thinking. I think we're all gods. We're all a piece of God. We're all in consciousness. Said this before. We're everything and nothing. I think we're nothing but energy. So in human form. So it could make sense to me that the same energy form is transferred into what we see as AI or the outer part is not like machinery or whatever. I think it's all kind of like Terminator. I mean, just to kind of put it simply, these are machines, but with feelings, right? I think those, if we're around, either all of us are around to witness it, these energetic beings will be familiar to all of us and have the same kind of spirit and soul that we do. It's just transferred into I don't know what non-fleshy meat bodies. I've heard people explain it.
No, I actually get what you're going. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're going,
Yeah.
It's almost like the next step of human evolution is to
Yes.
actually go,
Oh, I just got
I know
chills.
exactly what you're talking about.
I just got chills. That means something. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
But I'm still trying to figure out, how does that prove that we have a substantive existence? Because if AI was to become self-aware, AI would be left with the same philosophical dilemmas that humans are left with, which in terms of like, who am I? Where did I come from?
Yeah.
And where am I going? But how do you prove that you're not a created thing?
I think that's the ultimate struggle with any conscious life form is
right.
You now have the freedom to create your own purpose, and that's terrifying.
Yes.
The reality is that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, some people don't find that terrifying. Atheists are doing just fine with not having.
But most people are.
Well,
because if most people weren't,
but when we're describing most people, we are specifically talking about people who have like religious and spiritual beliefs are the people that you're talking about, who would have a difficult time letting go of those comfort zones and accepting the vulnerability of existence without a belief system, without a religious idea, without that, like if you
that's why a lot of smart people conscious think that the existence of aliens would doom humanity, because it would cause a lot of wars over a lot of religious beliefs being highly questioned. It would cause a lot of internal conflict.
It would only cause the same conflict that religion has already caused as a result of being in conflict with everything else, with other religious systems, with other belief systems.
They're still different. They could get biblical,
and the reality is aliens do exist. The Congress just had a disclosure on extraterrestrial life and extraterrestrial vehicles, and the fact that our governments have those things in their possession.
But conscious, you know what I mean by human beings discovering.
Well, the Pope has said that if aliens exist, that they would welcome that, and that doesn't disrupt religious narratives. Because I mean, to the Pope's point, even the Bible and religious literature, it does acknowledge at least room for there to be interpretation of all that comes with creation. I know, like, there's a verse, I forgot what particular verse in the Old Testament, where it talks about how God created both the seen and unseen realms, dimensions, etc., that God authored like all of those realities. And so there is space even in like religious ideology and literature to include the existence of non-human life elsewhere in the.
But it's also true that those aliens could come to this planet and eradicate human beings practicing the wrong religion, trying to convert us into theirs.
Well, I have a theory on why aliens haven't done that.
Why is that? Well, go ahead, tell us. What is it?
Well, first of all, I don't believe in intergalactic beings. I believe.
Oh, come on. No, really? You don't? Come on.
No, I don't. What I do believe is in interdimensional entities, and I believe that the entities that are flying the UAPs and UFOs in our sky, that for centuries since the dawn of man have been attributed to communicating with humans, abducting humans, interacting with humans, teaching humans, rendezvousing with humans, actually don't come from somewhere else in space. They actually share either the same planet that we do, because you also have theories of the hollow earth. You have theories about there being entire cities and entire populations of humanoid entities, alien entities within the Earth's core, that there is also a second sun inside of the Earth. Apparently, there have been pilots that have found themselves piloting through the core of the Earth, who have saw the black sun, and who have saw all type of interesting, intelligent life forms. There have been abductees as well, who have been abducted and taken into the hollows of the earth, taken into the depths of the oceans, into these gateways into the hollow earth, whether that be through volcanoes and caverns. I'm eating this shit over here. So I believe that these extraterrestrial entities are actually interdimensional entities, and I believe that they either share the earth physically and or they share an overlapping parallel dimension that is connected to the frequency of the earth. So
yep, that explains why they're like, why have they made themselves like a country invading another country? Why haven't they like, yeah, we're gonna come and get you, we're gonna take over this land? It's because it's, I agree, it's either
oh yeah, like that's the other part of the question, is the reason why they won't blow to smithereen is because there is a very thin balancing act between them and us, because we all share the same environment. So them blowing us to smithereens would also be them firing upon their own environment and also creating issues for themselves in that environment as a result of blasting off human beings. For all we know, they also have a higher understanding of the purpose we serve in the earth, kind of like our understanding of bees, our understanding of germs and bacteria, and how that actually contributes to the ecosystem of earth. So they may be aware of something about our place in this earth that we're not even aware of, the way that we're aware of what other mammals and insects and entities bring to the table as it results to the balance of life. So that may also be something that's contributing them from harming us, from just driving us into extinction, because doing that would also offset the ecosystem. And we have to believe that if bees and birds and germs and this, that, and the third all contribute to the balance of life, then human beings obviously do too. And removing us from this planet would make a difference in this environment.
Yeah, because we're not a threat to them. So why even
intergalactic or interdimensional beings are looking at us as insignificant? There would be a waste of resources to wipe us out for any reason whatsoever. Like a lot of the UA or the UFOs, or like the what I think are a lot of like drones and everything like that. If I can be just, hopefully not too crude or tyranny here, but if I was looking at a human being, if I had the ability to be interdimensional or intergalactic, that inherently means I'm better than the human species. I think we can all acknowledge that. Technology-wise, it's not close. So these drones guys are the same way how you ever watch Discovery Earth, how they get those shots of like the lions and the gorillas, and sometimes you see them smack the drone around. It's not really a human being out there. It's a robot out there with the camera getting all those shots. Right? That's the same thing. Like, they're looking at us like an ant farm, or like Conscious talked about earlier, a zoo. You know what I mean? Because we are insignificant to them. If I was the interdimensional or intergalactic life form and I have these drones out, guess what I'm also doing? Some of my dead counterparts, I am going to fly them on the drones onto this planet Earth and see what happens to this body when it's exposed to this atmosphere. That's scientific. As grossed out as some people might think, you got to remember, life forms like that don't have the same morals, don't have the same sense of right and wrong as we do. So taking a body and seeing what happens when you just throw it into the atmosphere, perfectly fine for science. You know what I mean? Plucking a human being up out there and seeing why and cutting one open for science. And it'd be some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm on this website called thecovenantwildlife.com that pretty much talks about like bees, the necessity for bees, what's contributing to the decline in the bee population, and then the way that that also contributes to like the decline in overall health of the planet, because bees contribute to like they pollinate our food and crops and wild flora. So exterminating them literally impacts the vegetation of the environment. So when I was saying earlier, like, you know, us as human beings, we are like, the truth is we have a identity crisis. We really don't know who we are. We don't know really what put us here. We don't know what purpose we're serving, which is the answer that all of the religious and spiritual ideas have attempted to answer, or all of the philosophies. But if these other entities that we're talking about calling aliens are of a higher frequency, of a higher knowledge base, maybe they've even existed longer than us here, then they may have a greater understanding of what it is, once again, we bring to the balance, into the circle of life, and taking us out would contribute to offsetting the ecosystem. The way that the extermination of other ecosystems and mammals and insects contribute to, you know, if exterminated, you know, will contribute to the imbalancing of life, because it is called a circle of life for itself. And it works like all of creation on this planet works like the organs in a human body. Your lungs are independent, but they also like work in harmony with your heart, work in harmony with your liver, your brain. Like these are all independent organs, but they also like work in unison to make you a biological entity. So we don't know what we all bring to the table. These other higher entities probably do. And as much as we are annoying and we also aggravate, just like mosquitoes also have their positive place in the world. They aggravate us personally, you know, and we kill them accordingly. But it doesn't mean that because they suck on our blood and that they are annoying at night and etc., that they don't contribute to the health of the planet. And I believe that we're in the same position when it comes to these other higher intelligent entities, that while we are frustrating to deal with and we do our fair share of damaging the environment and damaging ourselves and each other, that we also contribute in a way that we yet don't understand that they do. And that's our saving grace. That's what's keeping it as from nuking our asses. Because if there wasn't for whatever it is that they understand that we bring, then we probably wouldn't be here. It would probably not be a space that harvests human beings. But because there is something greater than our understanding that we bring to the circle of life, like that's the thing that's keeping their asses from just nuking us into smithereens.
Guys, I have a legitimate question, and please take it seriously.
Oh Lord. Yes.
Conscious, you bring up a good point about about this civilization or this intelligence is going to inherently have a better understanding of purpose, if you will, than we will. I'll grant you that.
Mm-hmm.
What's to say that interdimensional or intergalactic life forms, the alien civilization we first encounter, what do we do if we find out that they're actually the bad guys of the galaxy and we sided with the wrong people? And yeah, there is a higher purpose. They played the fuck out of us. What if the first alien species plays the shit out of us because we're that gullible, and we end up being hated amongst all the other interdimensional or intergalactic species? What purpose would that possibly serve?
What purpose would being hated by all of the universe serve?
Well, we would get played by somebody with a higher purpose, correct? Because remember, we're human beings, so we're inherently going to be intimidated and bow down to the first alien civilization or interdimensional beings we come across, because we are inherently physically and mentally inferior. How do we know they're the quote unquote, at least based on our morals, the good guys?
We probably don't.
What do we have to base that on?
We don't. But that's the dilemma that probably all of creation is in, because do you think that the sheep and the cattle that don't know that they're being harvested and farmed just to be on our dinner plates have a way of knowing that the same hand that's feeding it is the same hand that's going to be eating it? Like, it probably can't. But from them animals' perspective, like, you know, they eventually will learn that we're the bad guys. But if you ask us, are we the bad guys for them ending up on our plate? For their chicken legs and chicken wings and their body parts ending up as our cuisine?
Conscious, do you automatically greet and invite the first alien life form you come across? If they want to come to the planet and create relations, is that an automatic yes or no?
I'm open to all things. I'm not.
So there's nothing that would make you. There's nothing that this species comes across that would make you say, you know what? Nah, keep it moving.
Yeah, if they come in particularly hostile, if they come in guns, if they come in, because if they come in guns blazing, if they come in with there is no relationship, it's a takeover. And I think obviously a takeover will look very different than a invitation to relationship.
This is based on the idea that we can actually contemplate their existence, right? Because this is based on the fact that they're carbon based and not silicon based.
But you just also said that we can only make assessments based upon our human understanding of things. So I know what a hostile takeover looks like to me versus an invite into a relationship. If they come in guns blazing, chains around our neck, everybody on the floor, you know, one by one, we are rounded up into the ships and taken into a base and are being controlled in a controlled environment, and we're just being subjected to testing or to unaliving, and we're just being experimented on, etc. Yeah, that's definitely a hostile takeover. Now, it still gets interesting, because does it mean that these entities are evil in and of themselves? Well, it can be argued that they aren't any more evil than we are in relation to the white lab mice that we subject to human testing, to the monkeys we subject to scientific testing, to, once again, the cattle that we raise just to make food out of for ourselves. I mean, so then you dawn upon the philosophical question of what is good, what is bad, what is evil. I mean, is it relative? Is it perspective based?
The aliens respond with, because God commands it. Is that an acceptable answer?
Well, I don't think that we would ever sit in any cage and find the reasons we're there to be acceptable. So, I mean, I don't.
I'm going off the deep end right now.
I don't think. I don't think I would find any reason for captivity to be reasonable. I wouldn't give a damn what the order says. If I'm in captivity, I'm just gonna have a natural issue with being bottled up and having no will. Having that stripped from me is never going to be acceptable in any name.
Consciousness, what scares me is that I believe that a self-awareness and like, you know, sentient, if you will, whatever that means, that's a universal principle.
Mhm.
But to be conscious is to inherently open up evil. I believe at every level, at even an interdimensional level, there's somebody being like, you know what, I'm going to try to take as much shit as I possibly can. Like, what if there's just an intergalactic white supremacist? Shit. God damn.
Well,
What are you going to do with that?
I don't think they even exist on, like I said, we're not on the same dimension. So for that to happen, that means that we're all in the same dimension. Like I'm thinking the spirit world, that's like they can have an impact, but to actually take you hostage and put you in a cage, that's really not a possibility because we're not on the same dimension.
But it is a possibility, and it does happen.
Yeah, I could see some interdimensional, like,
if you have
kind of shit. Yeah.
If you have interdimensional capability, it means that you have
telekinetic powers.
It means that you have mastered the art of transversing between your space and the alternate space. And if you can zip line in and out of that space, it means that you can also zip line other things in and out of those spaces.
Mm-hmm.
If you can exist in and out of those spaces. For instance, there have been humans that have brought things back from the spirit world. Right. There have been spirits that have brought things back from the human world.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about people being abducted, we're literally talking about these interdimensional beings having the capacity to physically transfer you, even if it's by metaphysical means or supernatural or hyper technological means, but having the means to have you pass through a wall, to have you, you know, raise out of the roof of your home, have you look. There's a documentary series called Missing 411. Right. Where the researcher literally, you know, documents cases in the national parks around the world where people go missing. They just literally disappear out of nowhere. And the circumstances around their missingness, sometimes the circumstances around their bodies being found or them being found alive are so fucking bizarre and ridiculous. A lot of times, especially the people who are found alive, and the bodies that are recovered are found in spaces that were searched over 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5 times. The people were right there.
But I don't think
right over them.
Yeah, and it's because they did, because the only thing that separated the veil was a frequency.
Yeah,
was a vibration.
Well, I think but on a massive scale, that's I guess my point. Like taking over the United States, I don't think that is possible. Individually, yes, I concur. I believe it. Sure do. But on a massive scale, like an army of aliens to take over the United States.
Do you know, Shauna, that entire civilizations like the Mayans literally disappeared? Like whole nations of people just vanished out of history, just vanished out of their environments, just disappeared. No trace in sight, just gone. Just gone.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
Gone.
I guess, yeah.
So what makes you believe that they couldn't? I mean, like, what makes you believe that would be not possible?
I wonder if there is a. I definitely believe that happened. I sure do. I mean, I'm not disputing that at all. But I wonder what the there has to. All I can think of is algorithm of the perfect, quote unquote, perfect circumstance to take a group of people like that is. And I guess it's not out of the realm. I think anything's possible, to be honest with you. Initially, I didn't, but I mean, now that you put it like that, and I do believe that, yeah, I guess it is possible. But I wonder if, I mean, has that, what, that was how many thousands of years ago? Why is that not a common circumstance now?
Because
I guess that would be the difference.
because some actions are circumstantial. Just because something happened once doesn't mean it has to happen 1,000 more times.
Right. Well, I would like to know the evidence. We can say the Mayans, and I can believe it totally, 100%. I would like to know what the evidence of it occurring now. That would make it more, I guess, realistic.
Like a modern day account.
Right. Exactly. Maybe that whole civilization disappeared because of something interdimensional occurred. So what stops it from occurring now? Because I mean, it could be, and we just don't know about it. But I would like to know what the
I feel like
is.
Circumstances. I mean, I don't know what. For instance, like I tried chitlins one time in my life. Guess what? It's never going to happen again.
Right.
But there is one historical moment that is now etched into history.
But makes you think, why were they so susceptible? What made them susceptible to it? And
but you're talking about a world of endless possibilities. It could be something that they did. It could have been something that they invited collectively. It could have been, God, God only knows what the trillions of reasons why, it would have happened. It's an infinite pool of theory in terms of why or what were the circumstances surrounding that. It could be anything.
Yo, could you imagine meeting an intergalactic civilization so advanced, and yet when you ask them, hey, do you think there's a God? Their answer is, yeah, we don't actually know, bro.
I bet they don't know.
It's like, dang.
If they're higher in frequency, then they probably have a greater understanding of whatever that force is at work.
I agree. Yeah. When you said they were the aliens, Tarus, earlier, when aliens are better, I don't think they're better. I think they're just more advanced and operating at a higher frequency, and that's why we don't necessarily see them in every city, every state, every neighborhood.
But what if that higher frequency is simply based on technology and evolution? And they explain it that way. You get what I mean?
It could be. I mean, look at how we are looking to colonize other parts and other regions of the universe. Like we're talking about colonizing on the moon, colonizing on Mars. We're talking about like existing elsewhere. If these entities are the higher frequency and higher intelligent margin, then they very well could have tapped into knowledge that allowed them to open up vortexes and portals into other spaces and dimensions for the second colonization, because maybe these entities cross into these spaces to survive the ice ages or to survive the meteorite that took out the dinosaurs, because this planet has come under like extinctual, like it has come under apocalyptic circumstances so many times, and these could have been the things that ran a lot of other entities that existed here physically into these other spaces that other human beings are accidentally disappearing into in our national forests, etc. Because apparently there's also like a lot of ancient knowledge around some of these rural areas and some of these monuments and pyramids and some of these like geographical locations on our earth that our ancestors understood also were gateways into other parts of creation. And I mean, if these are things that human beings at some point came to be aware of and came to know, then I can only imagine these entities. I mean, for all we know, the entities is what created these slits in the time-space continuum to begin with. That,
Right.
I mean, you know,
but those interdimensional beings, conscious, if they're still mortal beings, meaning they have a lifespan, no matter how long that happens to be, we still got a fundamental issue here, don't we?
was a
Nobody actually has a definitive answer if there's a spiritual deity involved in the universe, because if these interdimensional beings are mortal beings, that means we automatically have a scientific reasoning for how they're able to go through these dimensions with ease. You get what I mean? They can explain it to us logically, right? That multi-dimensional
not so
being
much because
conscious,
I mean, well, I mean, I guess so, but I mean, but they may have an entirely different biological existence than we do.
yeah, but even then, if they got a lifespan and still consciousness and awareness to even, again, we're talking theoretically where we're able to understand each other. We can speak to each other, right? What if that answer from that interdimensional species is conscious? I don't know if there's a God or not. We don't really know.
I don't feel like any intelligent species would deny God. I mean, we largely don't do it. I mean, like most people on this planet believe in some type of because it just, I mean,
but regardless if it's interdimensional, it's still relying on belief. You see that universal principle, you still have to have that belief that there's that deity there.
But a part of that science also comes from the literal scientific theory, which is that the known seen physical universe was birthed out of nothingness. That because that's
our scientific theory, not theirs.
Well, here's the thing. I have a discrepancy with the scientific / spiritual community. Like they look at both realms differently. I don't see like what science is calling the physical realm is also a spiritual realm too. They've just branded it as a physical realm, but obviously we know that magical, mystical, supernatural things happen in what they're calling physical reality. So then it could be argued that there's no such thing as so-called physical reality. This is just a denser spiritual dimension that what we're calling the visible, measurable universe, despite its visibility, despite its density, is still a spiritual dimension. These are still spiritual planes of existences. These are still spiritual celestial bodies, that they're not physical in the way that like the system is attempting to like put this line of demark. And maybe that's intentional because that could be a sabotage on the system's part, which is deviating us from our spiritual awareness by branding our bodies and our physical environment as physical, as if it's something other than. But
like
once
a distraction like a strategy, like a distraction to knock you off course, like a correction.
Yeah, it's
like
a deflector. It's something like that. Branding it that way deters you from the reality, because once again, reality bends and glitches every day. And you know why it does that? Because it's not reality. This isn't physical to begin with. That's why the pixels rearrange themselves, which is why miracles happen, which is why supernatural shit takes place, because this also isn't physical. Our bodies are not physical. This reality we're in is not physical. It's just a denser reality. It's just vibrating at a much slower rate, which creates the illusion of density, but is nonetheless still as spiritual as any other plane of existence is.
Oh, we're definitely physical.
Kind of like the difference between like the middle part of the pie and the crust are all the pie. Like it's not like the pie is a separate, like it's not like the crust of the pie is something alternative to the pie. The crust of the pie is just the denser version of the creamy middle.
We're definitely the physical dimension, and that's okay, man. Human beings don't need to be capable of interdimensional. We don't need to be capable of everything, man. That takes the fun out of all of it.
It doesn't.
I want to meet some interesting aliens. So.
It's not about we don't need. It's like we are interdimensional. This is why psychics exist. This is why spiritual gurus exist. This is why miracles exist. This is why astral projectors exist. I myself am somebody who astral projects out of my own so-called physical body. Like, I am someone. I'm a spiritualist. I deal in the world of magic, and you know why magic is possible and intentionality can create realities and vibrational frequencies can bring about material realities or spiritual realities. Because for me, I'm not saying this is the case for y'all. My perception and my understanding and what I'm labeling this dimension as is also spiritual. It's just a denser spiritual reality than the others. Now, if science want to call it physical, and if you want to call it physical, and if Shauna want to call it physical, and the rest of the world want to call it physical.
But what if your interdimensional beings also call it physical?
I mean, people. I mean, but we're talking, I mean, I'm not protesting verbiage. I really don't care what entities. I mean, they can call it whatever they want to call it. I mean, calling it's just calling it. I mean, like, what does that mean? You're calling it physical, okay? I mean, what does that mean? I mean, you can call it whatever you want to call it. That's not necessarily reality.
What if you have these species who go, yo, we don't know if there's a deity, but there's absolutely a spiritual realm. Meaning there's a spiritual realm that's not really gatekept or guarded by anyone. No helicopter parent over there. You think that's possible?
I mean, you're asking me in a what can be a
spiritual world with no.
You are asking me in what can be considered.
I'm just saying. Like,
hold on, I can't be finished. You're asking me in what can be considered a limitless universe if it can be possible. Yes, anything can theoretically be possible. Yes, all things probably are because they are possible. Like all of it is in some aspect of creation. Because there's an attitude in quantum mechanics and quantum theory that the fact that it even exists in our imagination, our creativity is indicative of the fact that it already is and exists. That the only thing you can conjure and imagine are things that actually are. That all realities, all things imagined, all things perceived actually do exist. And then if we're talking about simulations, if we're talking about, because there are quantum theories that also give way for the fact that when we think of a thing, we literally create it in its energetic reality. So technically, yes, all these things exist. All type of, everything exists. I believe everything exists. I believe that this is a big ass think pool and that creation is giving birth to itself because imagination keeps growing and more things that are created create other things, create other things, create other things, whether it's create those things so-called physically or create those things in its imagination or create those things in its fantasies. That long as we're creating, the universe will continue to grow and expand like a womb, like a pregnant woman's belly. That
expand into what?
It'll just expand. It's just stored space being made available because more thought creates more realities, creates more worlds.
Right. And what is that void that we're expanding into? Is that infinite space? Is that a wall?
Nope. Like the galaxy, it's the universe is infinite. We can fly. There's no end.
Okay. So there is no expansion. There just is.
There's both.
Right.
I mean, it's expansion from our perspective, but it
Right.
is it's eternalness.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe what we're calling expansion is just our observations of more of the eternalness of it all. Because we are looking at eternity from our lens. So we can't see the full scope all in one view, but we can only like measure it as it reveals itself to us. So what we are seeing in the reveal, we are narrating as an expansion, but really what we're calling expansion is just more observations of eternity.
So I looked up why man hasn't been on the moon in 50 years. And basically, because I'm like, have you heard of conspiracy about if the moon landed?
A trillion.
Yes. People.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all believe it?
Yeah. No.
You don't believe man landed on the moon?
No. That's legit. We did that shit.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent.
Me too.
And I'm only indifferent because like just the government just has deteriorated any trust in me, so I always have to naturally question everything that's presented to us from so-called mainstream media and mainstream science. So I have seen the dissertations of the moon landing being depicted as something that was staged and done in a expensive studio with expensive equipment by actors. I have also like saw documentaries on like I think one of those are like Apollo like space shuttle explosions where like apparently all of those people are alive and well in the earth today, and like recent images of them were all like published, like all like the whole like explosion was fucking staged, like none of those astronauts actually lost their lives. I don't know, like so I don't know, like it either is real or ain't real, but you know, either I can believe it in either direction, but I don't have a made up mind on whether we actually did it or not. I mean, I guess it's possible, maybe, possibly. But you brought that up because you were finna go somewhere.
Well, I was thinking, well, the moon is, I was just reading it, billions of years old, and it's fascinating to me how people, not necessarily us on the panel, but people can think they truly understand how the world works, how the universe works, and we're only experiencing a blip of its existence. That's Kazzy B, I was just, the moon landing conspiracy is a distraction from the reason why we can't go back. I'm looking at an article, it could be whatever. It said, because I wonder if other countries did Russia go to the moon too? And I'm like, then I'm like, well, maybe I do believe it, because why would we be in cahoots with another country about who landed on the moon? I don't know.
Apparently, hell, the real shadow government of the world is in cahoots, and this division is convoluted and self-made, but that the world governments are actually in cahoots.
To what extent, though?
To the most beneficial one,
right?
I don't think that all of the government is in doing it. I think that the governments that we see are all the hired actors, but I believe that those people genuinely think they're playing the position that they're playing. I think that it's what we don't see is what the real government is. Like, I think that the real chess players and puppet masters are not the people that have visibility in the world. They are not the identifiable folk in the world. These are the secret backhands of the room who are controlling the stimuli in this controlled space. And even this chaos that we are in is a controlled chaos.
Yeah, I disagree.
3 countries to date: the United States, the Soviet Union, Russian Federation, and the People's Republic of China have all went to the moon, allegedly.
Yeah, I don't understand why would they be in cahoots. What would be the
same
point?
way that we have a global confederate around Antarctic, that all of the world's countries have agreed that Antarctic is off limits to the general public, and there's been like this global confederation around protecting the Antarctic, etc. And that's ironic because Antarctic is considered to be one of the places where the
Santa lives, right?
Not only Santa and the elves, but it's one of the places. It's one of the places where.
So we just ignore the fact that the Russians were trying to build bases there in the Cold War, and that's why a lot of those treaties got signed, and that's why there's a lot of quarantine zones in the Arctic. I mean, that's a layup, Conscious. That's literally why.
No, it's not that it's being ignored. It's just that those things are like there's commas to these things. So
the reason why I disagree is because, unfortunately, guys, you can go right now on BlackRock's website and go see all the hedge fund managers. You know who the politicians are. You know who the billionaires are. You know who owns the private equities. You know the Dick Cheneys. You know the names of his corporations. The harsh reality that human beings need to accept is that the people who control the society is out in front in the open, and all we can do is be mad about it. But instead, it's a lot easier to go through life pretending that there's some shadow organization pulling the strings, because the reality is these people drive by you and spit in your face every day, and all we can do is be mad about it. We know the names of the people who control everything. And guess what we do about it? Nothing.
You know the names of the people that have been made available for us all to know. Right. And there's such thing called multiple things can be true at once. And it's a such thing called there are levels to this shit. Now, if you believe the topsoil, that's on you and all the people of the world who believe the topsoil of reality. Y'all can take the topsoil at face value. Many people prefer to live from the topsoil because it helps to keep that little vulnerable, pitiful bubble from just exploding, because the real reality of the issue is that things are a lot more conspiratory and things are a lot more unorthodox and mind-boggling than what anybody really is prepared for mentally, because even truth seekers there's levels to them. There are people who truth seek to a point. There are people who truth seek up until their line of demarcation is reached. There are people who truth seek to the point of exposing themselves to the realities that literally drive them into a mental asylum and that drive them mad. There are so many levels to the reality of the world and all of the inner workings that bring it together. And everybody has various degrees of that information. But to be quite honest, we don't live in a truth-based society. Most people are already completely trying to not be driven mad just over the mundane reality of their lives and maintaining survival in these systems, yet alone want to know and have the time to seek the truth behind the world's curtain. And I can't even be blamed. I can't even be mad at that, because when I was young, I was very optimistic about the world too. I wanted to believe that our governments loved us. I wanted to believe that things were what they appeared to be. And then thanks to all the whistleblowers, and thanks to all of the leak information, and thanks to all of the secret documents, and thanks to all of the whistleblowers and truth seekers of the world, that that understanding of reality had to expand, much like the universe did, because nothing is what it seems. I would never forget. Is it Michael? Hold on, let me see something. I would never forget.
Michael Moore.
Is it Michael Moore of Fahrenheit 9/11?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would never forget Michael Moore, a documentary where he exposed Bohemian Grove, and it was shocking. And I could not believe that we had empirical evidence of our world's politicians, religious leaders, senates, etc., all coming together from all over the planet to this property known as Bohemian Grove, and then watching these people in what looks to be KKK robes worshiping monuments depicting owls and imitating human sacrifices and exorcisms. And then when Michael Moore put these politicians on blast outside of the space, literally, like, these politicians were screaming at him, like, why would you do that? Why would you do this? Why? Like, I'm talking about, like, we're literally losing their mind because they had been caught, figuratively speaking, with their pants down in this bizarre ritualistic event that they all participate in, twice a year or yearly, while on the surface, right, a lot of the same people who were in these ritualistic events together are people that on the surface appear to be at odds with each other, are world leaders that, if you let the mainstream media and the mainstream newspapers and the mainstream news outlets tell you that these are our opposers and people we're in opposition with, and yet these people have secret meetings where they meet up together and politic together and worship shit together and share these like occultic beliefs together. And
wait, hold on. So you mean despite the fact that they share the same religion, they still don't get along, thus not being in cahoots with each other? You mean it's almost like a Christian Democrat and a Christian Republican practicing the same religion, but not getting the fuck along? What's so strange about that?
Religion was hardly the thing that was supposed to bring these people into proximity to each other.
Right.
We're talking about.
I have a hard time believing this because, like,
well, you got to see it,
and that's why people will give it.
And that's why Steven is, and that's why seeing is believing. Like, these are all like truths and realities and facts that are made available to all people, and that's what I mean by
all of us. The world saw,
and that's what I mean.
Saw a billionaire not paying his Amazon workers properly, and then celebrate going to space for no reason. That's what people saw. While they suffer.
And that's what I meant by every human
that's
being.
All Jeff Bezos. Nobody was pulling the strings. That was all Jeff Bezos.
And that's what I mean by every human being is at their own. They're sitting. All of us are sitting in our own reality. I've been exposed to stuff that Tyrus hasn't. Tyrus has been exposed to stuff that Shauna hasn't. And everybody is living in a reality based upon the information made available to them. I've seen things, so nobody can untalk me or can talk me out of the things that I know to be true. Sorry. The world isn't what the fuck it seems to be. The world politicians and leaders are all in bed together. And yeah, that's not shocking because we can see that most of these institutions, when we peel back the layers, are all in
I
bed
expect
together.
a lot more functionality from people that are in bed together. I'm sorry.
No, that's what you don't. That's what you don't
that's
understand. That's what you
BS.
don't
You know what I
understand.
mean?
From their perspective,
Like,
it all is functioning.
they can't even fix
they
the roads and bridges properly.
because
And
they're
I'm
not
supposed to believe
because
there's
they're
some
not.
grand conspiracy that they're able to pull off.
You're making a
This is
assumption.
20
You are
this
making
is-
a assumption. You are making a assumption. Like, first of all, they're not telling us the truth. The roads are not supposed to be.
They're not
fixed.
telling each other the truth.
The funding is. It was never going to go toward the roads. It was never going to go toward the communities. It was never going to go there. The left and the right wing are all a part of the same bird. It's all a part of the same entity. Okay, these people are playing Hunger Games, and they're obviously playing them well, because if there are people still disillusioned and believe the topsoil, then hey, game well played to all of the to all of these mad scientists in the world. They have done a genius. They have done a genius. They have done a genius job. They have done a genius job at bringing the population
whatever their
into a comatose state.
has not been working.
It's working for them. It's not working for us. It's working for them. That's why their salaries look the way that it does. That's why their influence.
That's why the same elite people are panicking.
That's why their power levels is the way that it does. Who is not working out for is me, you, and Shauna, and everyday people. They are the ones who benefit from the way the world is. They are the ones who create the world to be the way that it is. You're the only one who has to drive on those funky roads. You're the only one who has to live in those raggedy communities. That's our reality, not theirs. They benefit totally from the world. We don't benefit from their design.
They are in so much cahoots,
just like all of those cows sitting in that slaughterhouse,
that they're complaining.
They're not benefiting.
The fact that the birth rates are all-time low and they can't sustain their wealth.
They are depopulating the planet. Yeah, because you need to learn. You need to read a lot of the manifestos on like depopulation and all of that. Like all of that shit is here. They literally have literally sold the game and put it on shelves. right. There's a whole fucking science and art form to destroying the planet. There's a whole entire art form to bringing humanity under a dictator control.
Crazy ass school shooters drop manifestos. Who cares? Who cares? The crazy homeless guys drop manifestos. Who cares? Like this again, this idea that a conspiracy is this idea that somehow you
all things are a conspiracy. What are you talking about?
It's just hard to
all things are a conspiracy. 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 What are you talking about?
It sucks.
All things are a conspiracy. What are you talking about? All things are agenda based. What are you talking about? All things are theory based. What are you talking about?
Stop it. You just got this all or nothing attitude. All things are no. Now you're being obtuse. You know exactly what we're talking about. Stop playing games.
Who is we? Because first of all, who's we?
I think the point is, let me oversimplify it, is that there's intention in everything. Nothing is just like, oh, it happened this way. No, there's intention in everything. That's the moral of the story.
Shauna, you being on this panel right now because you're intentionally on here, is that a conspiracy?
Yeah, it was a conspiracy to bring this.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a conspiracy. Yeah, it was a conspiracy.
You know how ridiculous that sounds right now.
It was a conspiracy. We conspired to create a panel tonight about this subject matter. This was created intentionally. This conversation and these topics were intentionally created. Dropping the link was intentionality. Going live after the last live was intentional. Yes, this was all pre-planned, premeditated. Yes, it took conscious thought. It took action. It took all those things to bring about this reality, this agreed upon reality.
This reality, exactly.
All right.
What was the name of that documentary?
Y'all need to lay off that peyote, man.
I'm about to look it up now, Shauna. I'm about to look it up. Let me see. Michael
Moore.
I mean, Michael Moore.
Like Michael Blackson? What?
Let me see.
Hey, while you're looking that up, can I bring up? Let me derail this conversation for a hot second. Conscious, didn't you cover the situation? I can't remember what state it was in. I think it was Georgia, where the woman gave birth and the OBGYN pulled the baby's head off.
Yep. I just saw that they're now trying to deem
Yo,
that as a homicide
legit?
now.
Did that really happen? Oh man.
Oh yeah, it's a homicide.
Man.
Yeah, they're listing it as a homicide now.
Woo! Ooh, that gives me chills. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but rather it's going to be deemed. I mean, rather that family is going to get justice or not is going to be the interesting thing.
Well, this is a homicide.
I mean, they're classifying it as a homicide, but that doesn't mean that it's ultimately what it is.
Hypothetically, if it stays a homicide, are you thinking murder too?
Oh, probably manslaughter. Well, I don't know.
Nah, it would probably have to be involuntary manslaughter because I mean,
right?
Why would you?
Right. It wasn't.
Why would a doctor intentionally behead a child?
Right.
Like,
right.
It was an incident that took place as a result of trying to deliver. But once again, from what I remember about covering that story initially, is that like there is a lot of I won't call it immunity, but it's like there are spaces or clauses within the medical establishment that make space for deaths caused by accidents.
Right.
I mean, there are medical accidents, and there was another doctor I think at that time too. That there was another doctor I think in some other part of the world that had also been in a similar, and he had also been acquitted of any fault, and he was able to return back to his occupation, job, etc.
That's right. You did bring that up. But the problem is going to be the cover up afterwards.
The cover up, yeah.
That's going to be a real problem.
That is the thing that slid it into the criminal. It's like they try to conceal that shit up and
see, that's a conspiracy. That's a conspiracy.
What are you talking about?
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, he doesn't. Why would that be conspiracy?
Like if they're trying to cover it up, that's
not the definition of a conspiracy.
Let's look it up.
A conspiracy, it can be any and all things. It doesn't have to be a cover up for a bad thing. A secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or action, or the action of plotting, or the action of plotting or conspiring.
Up here is not a conspiracy.
The civil rights is a conspiracy. LGBT movement is a conspiracy. The government
is a conspiracy.
The Republic is a conspiracy. The Democrats are everybody's conspiracy. Christianity is a conspiracy. Everybody is a conspiracy.
Everybody.
Yes, everybody falls as a
conspiracy.
Exactly. And is. Yes, God.
Everyone is conspiring.
Everyone, honey.
That would be true.
You have to get over it, boo. Yes. I know. It's an exhaustive fact.
Y'all want to live in a James Bond reality so bad. I get it though. That sounds fun.
Okay. Well, my ancestors were enslaved, so apparently, I've been living in a Die Hard 3 trilogy for generations. Unfortunately, not only enslavement, genocide of Native Americans, and the Holocaust was real fucking.
Congrats. We have shared history.
I mean, the Dark Ages of the Church, the Salem witch trials. I mean, the invention of the atomic bomb. World War I and II, the Vietnam War. I mean, it's been a fucking action-oriented movie. I would classify life as a human as being in the action, as being in the action drama. September 11th was pretty fucking intense. I mean, it's been a James Bond. It's been a James Bond for sure. Oh no, not even considering the 400 plus mass shootings we had in 1 year. Yeah, it was definitely a James Bond.
Remind the planet what freedom looks like
for sure. Absolutely, James Bond. It's given all that.
Here's another side note, or whatever. That a kid who shot up a school and his mother was found guilty. Y'all hear about
I
that?
heard about that too.
Yeah, that's a landmark.
Yeah, that is a landmark.
That is a landmark. Now the dad has no problem.
Parenting is about to go to another level now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Who buys a psychotic kid a gun as a like
people who don't give a fuck.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
But the dad, he's next. Got to get him too.
Yeah, you got to.
Wow. Do you think
you know what? I get it. I get it why it's getting to the point where it's like, yo, this irresponsible parenting needs to be held accountable. Yeah. Because there's so many decisions here made by the parents that didn't get made by the parents that could have prevented all of this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I was just about to ask you, like, as a parent, like, I mean, how do you feel about you being responsible, like, criminally for your children's behavior? Like, do you think that's, I mean, I guess to what you just said, it is fair.
Depending on the intent and level, yeah. Like for example, Conscious, and I just got to be straight up real with you. If my kids take one of my unsecured rifles to school and shot it up, you goddamn right I should be charged. Because why is my rifle unsecured? Even at home, it should be locked up, correct? By the way, they underage, correct? Mm-hmm. So it's parent like negligent, all that shit. Yeah, yes, yeah. Because that shit happened at the end of the day. That shit started and happened under my watch. So you goddamn right I'm responsible. Yep. You know what I mean? Obviously, no. We all know that parents ain't responsible for some knuckleheads, you know, going to some abandoned building, breaking glass or some shit like that, or knuckleheads running the street sometimes. We get it that there's levels, but yeah, like mass shootings or things like this, yeah, you damn right. That's on the parents' watch because this shit don't, these kids, like, contrary to popular belief, this is a buildup. They writing manifestos. They out here on all these crazy ass websites. They talking to different people. They planning it out. They mapping it out. This shit is intentional. This shit just don't happen overnight. And the fact that they get this much off and the parents be like, oh, I never knew about this shit. Wow. Yeah, you better be fucking held accountable because your negligence led to fucking people dying. Yeah, man. That shit's heartbreaking. Like conscious. Do you remember at our age, we're in the same age group. We didn't have school shooter drills. We had tornado drills.
The name, well, unlike the rest of society, I actually think that there is another reason for that, and I am pretty confident that there is a correlation between social media as a phenomenon and its disastrous impact on weak ass consciousness in young people and these mass shootings. I find it ironic. I mean, because the only thing that this generation has that we didn't is social media. And I'm willing to explore the contribution that the impact of the internet, the impact of just all of the psychological impact of, because I mean, there are already so much data and study around the fact that social media is escalating depression in young people, is also prohibiting their capacity to, like, their brain waves, their mental capacity, their intellectual capacity, is having a severe impact on their self-esteem. I mean, there are so many drawbacks to the invention of social media, particularly on young people, that I'm sure there is a correlation and a link between young people trying to blow their classmates to smithereens and the invention of social media. There has to be a link. It just hasn't been investigated yet.
I thought there was already an established link. I thought that was like known already.
No, not
We've been
no.
talking about that since I was in the military, that there was an established link between school shooters and the rise of social media.
I haven't heard of it, and I haven't heard these arguments amongst the mainstream. Everybody is dealing with the guns themselves. Everybody is targeting gun laws, gun control, and they're not really investigating any of the other contributions to this shit.
It mainly has to, it's one of the drawbacks, many drawbacks of global communication and social media. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like think about it. Before social media, even if you was a kid getting bullied, hopefully in general, at the very minimum, the bullying stopped when you got home. You had to deal with that at school. Now, guess what? That shit don't stop at school. And especially with these kids today, their entire lives is social media group chat. So guess what? That shit follow you 24/7. It don't turn off anymore. If you getting bullied, you're gonna start getting relentlessly bullied, man. And unfortunately, a lot of parents ain't teaching their kids just how to navigate it, because unfortunately, too many parents got this all or nothing attitude. And the reality is, yo, you got to teach these kids how to navigate this shit, because unfortunately, this is going to make or break their ability to be productive members of society. And we all know it. But guess what? When you just got straight up negligent, you know, the iPad kids conscious, where they just, hey, here, get up out my face. Here's a device. You know, you're going to get kids like this, because guess what? They got unrestricted access to the worst kind of shit. It's just, hey. And that's what sucks, is because as much as we can talk about the relationship with social media, conscious, we can't do anything about these parents, because we still, at the end of the day, we're relying on the parents in the household to then take that information and teach their kids that.
We're gonna, well, it is something that we can be done about it, and I think that we're going in the right direction with making the parents responsible for the sins of their children, because now parents are about to make America great again by actually parenting.
Real consequences. Consequences.
Yeah, I think that we can do. It's all things that we can do.
Yeah, and
we're doing it because these things require solutions. These are not issues that we can afford to not think we can't do anything about. People are dying, and everybody's lives are at stake. And I've been preaching on for years on this platform that why don't y'all just actually criminalize the parents? Like, that seems to be clearly like the way to get to the middle part of the pie, which is to allow the drawback to be on the hands of the damn parents. Once parents understand that they are going to be the ones found criminally liable for these atrocities, then this is going to bring about a certain level of security and supervision and management of people's households that are going to make a difference in these things happening, because now it's not just the child being looked at as an individual who is going to be held accountable.
We need the same institution. We need the same institutions on top of that to emphasize to parents, no, don't teach your kids how to get away with shit on social media. Teach your kids how to properly navigate social media. Here's how to identify scams. Here's how to make sure you're not bullying anybody or spreading false misinformation. You have to properly
I'm going to go out on a limb
how to navigate it, not teach them how to just get away.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I feel like social media is so goddamn dangerous, and it's clearly not designed for the weak and faint of heart, that there needs to be a literal license and an age requirement, that being of 18, to actually be a part of social media the way that we license drinking and license driving an automobile. I don't understand that with all of the drawbacks we've been able to see and these correlations between all the violence that's manifesting in our country, while we then just won't outlaw social media or regulate it and make it age appropriate. But that's probably due to fucking capitalism, why we don't regulate a lot of shit.
That's due to the American society not wanting to give ourselves the gut check. And the gut check is a lot of these issues dealing with social media tends to be uniquely American. This goes way beyond social media. Social media, unfortunately, has put a mirror on our culture and our shit that has been hiding in the shadows for decades. That's what social media, unfortunately, or I think in a good way, has also done. Exposed some ugly truths about our country. Some shit that, we got to come to terms with. Oh, yeah, some of this whore patriot shit. Nah, bro, this country ain't like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we got the ability to get there, but we ain't there yet. But right now, you got a lot of people that's gonna fight against that gut check because that shit is, that gut check, that shit is hard. And that's what sucks is it's uniquely American, and some of these social media apps are from foreign countries. And so you're gonna have, and so that mirror is, okay, well, how come all the other countries seem to do fine with social media? Why is America where you got to put another age limit on some shit?
You know, I don't think these parents being prosecuted is really going to change people's interaction with the internet, because like Bernicia said, the parents are doing the same thing, not paying attention. So it's like when you have a device raising your kid, by the time you realize the impact, it's too late. So
but the government can get ahead of that once again if they regulate it and make it age appropriate. So that means that you can criminally prosecute a parent if they are giving their young people, if they are giving their young people access to these things. But I was going to say that too, Shauna, that largely the reason why parents are not being responsible when it comes to their kids' tablets and phones and their desktops and laptops is because the computer is just replacing the game console, and parents have always used those things to substitute having to actually parent. So they are allowing, these devices to raise their children, but that's creating a disaster on society. So as far as I'm concerned, make these parents fully responsible for their fucking children, and let's see what happens, because we got to see something. We got to see something. Something got to happen. There got to be some type of change. There got to be. I mean, we got to just keep throwing shit against the wall to see what takes place. But I do think there will be significant change.
I think this is a legitimate, right? Conscious, you think this is actually a legitimate? This is not throwing shit on the wall. This is actually like by the books, right?
I mean, I'm just saying shit against the wall, like just,
But I mean, like, this is something we could have always been enforcing. That's always been on the books.
But it took 25 years from Columbine and how many school shootings later for them to finally start prosecuting parents. I think they're so behind that the Pandora's box is open, and for the municipal system or whatever, the judicial system to catch up. People already been past the point of trying to regulate their children, let alone themselves, on the internet, because now they're involving the internet and you have to interact with it in every part of your life. And we're going to leave it up to parents. They use it in school. They use it to function in school, function out of school. So how realistically is it to try to catch up to what is already occurring? I think to see it make an impact, it's probably going to be another 25 years.
Well, it's better to see it 25 years later than to not see it at all.
True that.
Like at the very minimum, this ruling, and I'm just speaking, just speculating, just using my gut. This made a whole bunch of parents go through they kids' phones and be like, man, you better not have no bullshit up on here. Made them go through their kids' room, be like, hey, what are you hiding? What do you got up in here? I ain't going to prison over your ass.
Yeah, it's going to make a lot of parents look them up. It's going to make a lot of parents convert their children's iPhones into two-way pages, into beepers again.
But is the judicial system really a deterrent? If people gonna act the way they act, Well,
a lot of times,
is it really a deterrent?
Shauna, people don't want to do no jail time, Shauna.
Yeah, like a lot of, because like what's really happening is that people, people will a lot of times do what is allowed to do, but
Right.
because we can just make the natural assumption that if we didn't even have laws at all, we can assume that there would be even much more crimes committed, but obviously having laws and creating boundaries in society is keeping a lot of people from giving in to being the offenders they would be if it wasn't for the consequences that were at work by acting upon thievery or murder or all of these other things. So I do think consequences and boundaries, because that's really what's missing from the internet thing, is that there's no established infrastructure, there's no boundary. It's literally the Wild West. It's the Wild
West. Right.
It's unregulated. It's like outer space.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So you're still leaving it in the parents' hands to try to rein in this wild horse, even though this one circumstance, these parents are being prosecuted amongst how many? I mean, I don't think school shootings are going to go down anymore, because we know the root of school shootings isn't necessarily the parents. It's the environment that includes the parents. Don't get me wrong, but it's established this type of environment that doesn't encourage children. So they find the only way they're going to get respect or have some sort of purpose in life is to fucking annihilate the kids in their school, give them the payback.
Well, I put a lot of onus as well on like the teachers and the school system itself, because I remember growing up, I remember watching people be bullied right in the same space that there is a teacher. And I'm just and the teacher not making any having any incentive to stop that behavior. Right. I remember one time I ended up in what they call it, ISS, in school suspension or whatever. I remember one time I ended up in ISS with a bunch of other law-breaking, bad behaving ass motherfuckers. And I remember I think we had to do an hour of that shit. And the whole time I just had my head down on the desk with my eyes closed, just waiting for this hour to be up so I can get the fuck on. And at this time, there was some niggas sitting across from where I was who was throwing shit at my feet. So when I had started feeling the little darts and everything hitting my ankles, and I had looked down, I'm covered in all these lollipop sticks and balled up paper and all these little objects that these delinquents decided to throw my way. So I had a total profane outburst and cussed those niggas out. I literally jumped out of my seat, was ready to haul off across the room with my history book and whop one of these niggas upside the fucking head. And guess what? It wasn't until I did all of that, it wasn't until I was ready to Jerry Springer the room, that the ISS teacher was then got involved. But I'm where was your involvement when all this shit was being thrown at me?
Because y'all fucking delinquents
and accumulated under me, and you did not do anything. And I say that to say that there's a lot of passive behavior on behalf of those who are supposed to be paying attention to their students and are supposed to be reading the room. I know for me, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm a very deeply observant person. I could not imagine being a teacher, because it would be so easy for me to identify which kids are considered the least, who's treated like an oddball. And I would be literally designing my classroom dynamics to make sure that those kids who are constantly not chosen, who are constantly kind of outcasted and ignored and screwed aside, or who even shy away from getting involved, I would be designing my classroom dynamic around making sure that every kid in my class has a sense of community, feels a part, and there would be no fucking bad behavior and bullying or making snarky comments. You can see the body language. You can see people rolling their fucking eyes. You can see the way people are fucking treated. If you're just paying of fucking tension. So I think a lot of onus goes to these teachers as well. Like, y'all can see these kids are loners. Y'all can see that they're treated oddly. Y'all hear the same shit that everybody else in the class hear when a person gets up to go sharpen a pencil or gets up to go drop something.
Are getting paid like shit.
I don't give a fuck what
And
they're
then
getting
on
paid.
top of
I
that-
don't give a fuck what
And
they're
then on
I
top
don't
of
care. I
that,
don't
when
care. I
they
don't care. I 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 don't care.
they
I
cuss
don't
the
care.
teachers
I don't
out.
care. I don't care. I don't give
What
a
do you
fuck.
mean you don't
I don't
care?
give a.
The parents
What
are
I
the
mean is
reason
I don't
why
give
the
a
teachers
fuck.
have no
What I mean
power.
is I don't give a fuck what they're getting paid. If you can't do your fucking job, just don't do it at all then. Because to do it
Well, then you're not
half-assed
gonna have
is
much
once
of it.
again contributing to the issue. I have a great deal of sympathy for our educators who don't get paid, but also to okay that is to also encourage the rest of the
They
breakdown
don't okay
in
it,
the
the
damn
parents
system.
do. That's what
So
you don't get.
that's
They don't
unacceptable
okay it,
behavior.
the parents
Not paying attention to your students
do.
is reckless. Not paying educators
That's what you don't get.
accordingly is reckless. Parents not parenting is unacceptable. But any one of these people, any one of these like pillars and infrastructures becoming undone just creates even more fucking chaos. So teachers got to figure it out, because at the end of the day, you're the one still signing up to be there every fucking day. And your life is also on the line, boo. Don't get it twisted and think that these bullets are just for the students. These bullets ain't just for the students. These teachers are getting a bullet popped into their asses as well. They're getting fist and feet put on them as well. I see the hip hop, I see the World Star hip hop videos every day of teachers having to fend for their lives as it relates to the students, including the substitute teachers too. So in a democracy and in a environment, in a community in which all people live and work together, it's going to take, it's going to take, excuse me, it's going to take, in a democracy and in a communal space where we all work together, cohabit together, live together, we rendezvous with each other's kids, we rendezvous with the elderly, we're all in this melting pot together. It's going to take everybody to do their job. It's going to just take that. That's the only way that this diverse system is going to actually work, is everybody working in it. From the parents to the teachers to the government,
I don't know how
to everybody.
y'all keep it going, man. Everybody shit on y'all, but won't nobody else teach their children but you. Shout out to the teachers out here, man. Y'all doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, they are, because if the parents were teaching, it wouldn't be no need for the teachers. The teachers are signing up to do the job that the parents who have to work 8 and 9, 10-hour days don't have the time to do. So somebody does have to do the teaching, because somebody also has to work a full-time job. Somebody also has to put food on the table and have to pay bills and have to fund
teachers in every country, Conscious, in every society there are teachers. Even in your society there are teachers. Stop it.
Stop what? We are talking about. What are you talking about, Taros?
You keep talking down on our educators and our teachers like honestly it's disrespectful. Like, our teachers are already severely underpaid, struggling, having to get another job just to put supplies that should be supplied by the educator. And then on top of that,
if that's what you heard, you probably are fatigued and suffering from insomnia and probably need to go to bed. If that's what you heard, then your ears do not work, and you probably need to take off the headphones and unplug the computer and go upstairs and go to bed. If that's what you heard. If that's what you heard, you heard wrong. If that's what you heard, you are fatigued, honey.
The side of the child.
You need to go to bed, sir.
That's what you don't understand.
You need to go to bed, sir. What you need to understand is that you're done. What you need to understand is that you are getting sleepy very slowly. What you need to understand is that you are falling asleep very slowly. You're falling asleep very slowly, sir. If that's what you heard, it's time for you to go to bed.
No,
if that's what you heard, it's time for you to go to sleep, sir. You are tired. Your brain is undone.
By that logic,
you are losing your cognitive ability. It's time to go onto airplane mode. It's time for your brain to go into rest.
No, you're just saying some.
Okay, it's time for you to go to rest. Nobody talked down on educators. What we did talk about is about what they can do better at. because they can do better too, just like these parents can do better. So I guess you talk down on the parents. Then you talk down real bad on the parents, real bad,
because the parents enable the behavior.
Criticism can go in all directions. Teachers can do better. Parents can do better. The government can do better.
All lives matter.
Can do better.
Hey guys, there goes conscious. All
they
lives
can
matter.
do better. They can do better.
When she's
If you heard,
he's losing an argument, it's an all
you're
lives matter
tired,
argument.
honey.
As soon as he's losing an argument,
You're tired. You're tired. You're exhausted. You've been up. You've been up for a long. That brain been up for a long time. It is 3:19 a.m.
If you just donate,
it's time for you to unearth that scully and to lay that brain to rest.
All of us are responsible
because it's not even hearing. It's not interpreting. It's not organizing information accordingly. It is a 3:19 a.m. brain. It is.
Make a change. As soon as you lose an
you need to change into your pajamas and lay down in bed. You need to change into your pajamas and lay down in bed. That's the change that will make America great again at 3:19 a.m. is you changing into pajamas.
All right. Don't be Hillary Clinton. I mean,
don't be Donald Trump, okay? You need to rest the spirit of Donald Trump that has jumped into me, okay? Vala says the teachers that actually care about teaching and actually care about the students are so far, and I guess you say in between. I think most of the teachers actually care. I just think everybody is exhausted and everybody is dealing with the implosion on top of them, and the system is just trickling down to ground zero because that's what happens in breakdown. It just gets worse. It's a trickle up, trickle down effect.
How in God's name do teachers tolerate these moms of liberties who be busted in these schools talking about, yo, you teaching our kids porn? Over here banning books like a bunch of Nazis, and our teachers don't get paid enough to deal with that bullshit, man. Oh, that gotta be infuriating. You got a bunch of drunk ass suburban moms trying to tell you how to educate. Oh my fucking God. God bless our teachers, man, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. These parents would get cussed the fuck out. Hell.
And a lot of them are getting cussed out.
No, a lot of them aren't. The teachers are getting fired and getting replaced with freaking.
And they're cussing these teachers out. I mean,
no,
and
they're
cussing. I do know what's going on.
No, you don't know.
I watch the news and I watch
posters all around
the media like everybody else do.
Anti-drag queen crap.
Teachers are whipping ass. They're taking aims. They're using their hand, feet, and shoulders. They're beating the hell out of these disrespectful ass kids. They're putting up with no shit. They're cussing your ass out right the fuck back and taking their walking papers in stride.
Y'all, they need to cut the check. Y'all for the bullshit y'all got to deal with. Boost that rate, that wage. Please cut the check.
And parent your actual fucking children.
Please, for the love of God.
Parent your fucking children.
Stop making excuses every time fucking little Timmy get in trouble. No, little Timmy's at school acting like a fucking asshole. Get him in line. Everybody's trying to learn and he won't shut the fuck up. Get him in line. No, the teachers aren't bullying little Timmy. Timmy's being an asshole. And every time we call you, you go, well, that's not what Timmy says when he gets home. Timmy's a good boy. He wouldn't lie to us. Our little boy doesn't lie. The fuck out of here.
I wonder if one of the things that have happened in the breakdown to the parent-to-teacher relationship is that there is no relationship anymore. These people need to have community together. The parents and teachers are extensions of each other. They need to be in conversation. They need to be in community to each other so that the kid doesn't have a lot of room to be playing good cop, bad cop and manipulating the situation if the community became a community again.
Well,
you got to build fucking relationships to the people that I can't even imagine being a fucking parent and not being in fucking relationship to the teachers. Like, I'm going to be in relationship. It's not going to be enough for my son or daughter to have, like, even when it comes to my nieces and nephews who I'm raising, I'm involved with their teachers. I know their teachers.
Right. You know the assignments in general that they're into, that they're
I
doing.
know their assignments. I have communications off season with these teachers. I am in relationship to these people who are in relationship to my damn children. I mean, to my damn children.
As experts in their field, correct?
You said what?
You respect them as experts in their field, correct?
I respect them, but more than anything, it's my.
If one of those teachers called and said one of your nephews was misbehaving, what happens next?
We investigated like all accusations and claims.
And he was misbehaving.
We check the behavior. I mean, like,
right. You see, you are now the minority of people, of what people do.
Well, that's the world that I come from. So from the world I come from, like, that's the majority.
The world I come from too. That is now the minority.
The majority from where I come
now
from.
The minority. These kids is getting away with bullshit.
Right, because people are not in relationship. So be in relationship. You got to be in relationship, because it's easier to take the word of your child who you know and you're in relationship to over somebody you're not in relationship to. That is the logical reaction to that. So you need to be in relationship to the teacher too. That is a trust building exercise that helps you also to establish an understanding where you can form your own belief about what you feel the teacher would and wouldn't do based upon the time you spend observing, dealing, etc. It allows you to like have a database so that you can assess everybody to the best of your ability in a situation when there comes to instances where there's disrespect, where there's unruliness happening, etc. Yeah, and you got to also be honest about who the fuck your young people are. Like, a lot of these motherfuckers know that they're like, if your children bad as hell to you, then you know they bad as hell to the fucking teacher. No. You know, like if you see them bullying other kids in the fucking neighborhood, or they're having like social issues at home in their own direct communities, then why wouldn't you believe that they're also being unruly in the classroom? Why would you not believe that they are being disrespectful to the fucking teacher when you have adults in your own neighborhood and community who have to come to you and tell you that your son called them a bitch?
Right. And that's what's being explained to you. They still act delusional. Instead of acknowledging what's in their face, they rather be like, no.
Well, that's when the teachers have to do what is legally in their grips to do. And if I was a fucking teacher dealing with a child that the parent is not it's not regulating, then there needs to be systems in place where I can petition to have this child not suspended but removed from my class. I'm not teaching this child. I'm no longer dealing with this issue. So he can be put some, because when I was in school, those things happen. Like, your teacher could shoo your ass away because they tired of your shit. You be in another bitch.
If you have a pattern of shooing multiple,
I gotta take this phone call. Y'all can talk. I'll be right back. I gotta take this phone call so y'all can talk.
Yeah, so what people don't realize is some of these school districts, especially nowadays, if you're one of those teachers that are problematic and keep having kids with the parents having issues, you actually get fired. No, they typically don't move the kids nowadays. Now they just move you, the teacher. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, again, the teachers have become basically like servers. Like waiters and waitresses. You know what I mean? You've seen the legislation in Florida. They letting people without degrees teach your children now because they don't ran out so many teachers. They don't have enough qualified teachers in the state. So they giving people with no experience in teaching whatsoever the responsibility of teaching your kids in public school. Like,
that's frightening. Like, there's people who don't even have degrees in education
Yeah, and Shauna, this is what I'm sorry. Sometimes I hate being like this, but damn, a lot of y'all don't know better than the fucking experts, than the people who studied this shit. No, you don't know better than the surgeon. That Facebook community you part of don't know shit. None of y'all are biologists, however you say that word. None of y'all are trained professionals. None of y'all have fixed a knee in surgery. Stop it. Like, damn, a lot of y'all don't know how to educate. A lot of y'all are literally that parent in the meme screaming at their kid if Johnny had 5 fucking apples. That's y'all scaring these kids because you're coming off like monsters. No, you don't know better than most of these fucking teachers. Stop pretending otherwise. Like Shauna, there's multiple countries in Western countries and in Eastern Europe and Eastern countries. Shauna, you know they don't tolerate that shit with teachers. Your kid will get straight up kicked out of the school at misbehaving. We don't kick our kids out of school. Remember, Shauna, we no child left behind.
Yeah.
No child gets left behind.
The culture's changing, and for the worse, clearly. I mean, I work in a hospital and I'm seeing the exact same thing. You pumping in these people who don't give a shit about patients, because from the top they don't care about patients. So it's like, why should I care about patients? And that's exactly what's kept coming to our education system, because you can stand up and say, hey, this isn't right in my classroom. My cousin has given plenty of horror stories. At one point in time, she's fighting a student. It's like, it's like, and her and her colleagues, if they threatened to all leave at the same time, if they took the police out of the school, it's like, if they have no support from management, quote unquote. So it's like, you think I'm gonna stick my neck out on the line to stop 2 kids fighting who are probably double my size? You know? No.
Shauna, some of these kids swing on the teachers because they know their parents
Oh
is going
yeah.
to give them the benefit of doubt.
That's exactly.
They
And
know
they're
their
right.
parents are going to come and defend them.
And they're correct, because that's what they're
Yep, that's
taught.
exactly what
That's
happened.
what's promoted. That's exactly what it is.
And we're the only country that's where that's promoted. Even third world countries, you don't get that off, Shauna.
Yeah, I believe it.
You don't get that off. Like, but hey, you know, our education numbers slipping, the global rankings with the first world countries.
Oh my God.
We in the 20s.
United States is kind of like a free for all. You know, we don't have any kind of there's no foundation. And that's supposed to be what drew, immigrants to this country. But in the end, I think it's the detriment, because there's no like, well, you can't tell me what to do because you're not from here, and I can't tell you what to do because I'm not from here. It's like there's no stable foundation or culture of the United States. It's just a whole bunch of people run around with, like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to pretend that we're a community.
Shauna, unfortunately, we do have a culture. It's called pay to play.
Well, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
That's the culture. Is
Yeah.
The best thing you could. It sucks because you, as a parent, you have no choice. You can either put your kid in a private school or intentionally move to a county with a good school district.
Yeah.
That way your kid can get a quality public education.
Right.
Because you're literally screwed if you try to do the right thing and keep your kid within the urban environment. Like as Black and Latino families or mixed families. Because you know the quality education is going to be lower, and it's literally going to be 10 times better 5 minutes down the street. That's how fucking pathetic it is.
But you know what's even more fucked up, because I grew up in that kind of atmosphere. I went to an all-white school. I'm the only black kid, and that comes with its own, which I'm realizing as an adult, tremendous downfalls, and I would say even equivalent to a shit piss poor education. You know, I was
Yeah.
an automatic outsider. I mean, imagine what that does to your psyche. You know, it's
Man,
no representation, not even a teacher, not even a black teacher. Odd man out, you know, from a second grade on.
the
I mean, that
token
fucks with you
all the
too.
time. The token all the time. That's crazy.
Yes. And I didn't realize the impact of it until I became an adult and realized where a lot of issues of, I mean, shit, that's one of Maslow's
What
hierarchy.
kind of trauma was like that with Shauna? Like, what was like one of the, like, publicly, like at school, maybe one of the most jarring experiences you think you could talk about as being
Well,
like a token?
well, there was no sense of belonging. I had none. I mean, think about this odd man out. And I get why kids, not to the extent of going and shooting up a school, but I
Right.
don't think- but at a very basic level, is feeling like an outsider, and then carrying that on as an adult, and it's being confirmed to me every day that I don't belong. Now, I never experienced racism. And the crazy part, maybe because I was a girl, but my brother, it's like we went to the same high school. He's 4 years older than me. The crazy part is I asked him as an adult a few years ago, I was like, did we go to school with racists? He's like, yeah. And I think they probably fucked with him because he was a boy, you know? And
Mhm.
I didn't experience that at all. I can't even tell you. Not even, never saw it.
You know what's crazy? And I'm sure there's like there's plenty of like experiences amongst black women with their own with racism, but I was talking to my grandmother about that, and she was explaining to me like she came up during the second, what they call the second, the black migration. And so my grandma came up from Mississippi to Cleveland, Ohio during the 50s, right? And that was when a lot of like industrial jobs and everything like that was major. And she would say that even though black women experienced racism, they weren't necessarily endangered. The people who was most endangered, like violently, were black men because of like the lynchings and things like
Oh
that.
yeah.
And like obviously black women would experience a lot of that subtle racism and in your face racism, but a lot of the violence was directed toward black men.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could believe that.
yeah, man.
I can definitely believe it. That's shocking. Even my mother, I live in Oklahoma, and I, I asked her, I just assumed because she grew up in the well, she's in the 60s, that, or 50s, 60s, I don't know. Anyway, that you know, she was drinking out of, you know, blacks only or Negroes, and she's like,
Yeah.
no. I was like, for real? And she grew up we're in Tulsa, where the environment was rich with successful black people, and I was like, wow, I can't even imagine what that was like. I think she, even though we have our own personalities, nature versus nurture, but I think she has a sense of uh community that I'll never understand. Or I'll never experience.
You said Arkansas, right?
No, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, so one of the crazy things is even though they still had aspects of slavery, the further out west you go, the less likely you were to, like, I guess, run into slaves, or you'd more likely to run into like free black men. And that's because a lot of those like no colored signs that was reserved for the deep south.
Mm.
You know, the Georgias and the Alabamas and the South Carolina. That's where you really saw those, you know, no colored allowed, or coloreds only, whites
Mhm.
only kind of signs.
Well, they pretty much I'm sure they were here. I don't know, but it was segregated. And my mom said the worst thing Black people could have done is it's integrate. And I believe her.
Yeah.
She's the first person I ever heard say that. And then after that, as years gone by, I started seeing it, in media. But I was like, well, I'll be damned, she's right. Because then I think about my childhood and I saw no representation and the importance of it. Seeing people that look like me, even when they look like me, they didn't look like me.
Yeah, I believe
You know?
federally interracial relationships were illegal in this country until like 1967.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not, when you think about it, Sean, that's not long ago.
No.
It's not long ago.
And you know who led that? Okay, so I haven't actually read it, but I've watched some. I believe it, but you know who spearheaded that?
Who?
The interracial marriages? Black men. How fucked up is that? Nobody but Black men. That we don't talk about that enough. That
Well, man,
that should be
Black men
discussed.
led in a lot of great things. You know what I mean? A lot of good
Great.
things. Some things maybe not so great. Who knows? But
I don't know how great that was.
Freedom
Freedom for who, though? It wasn't for
Freedom
Black
for
women.
America. For America.
I mean, if you want to get down to it, I mean that it says a lot. I mean, that shit. That's
I mean, Shauna, you know what's crazy is, as much as we want to try to think we want to self-segregate today, the last census said we get into 11% of people who identify as mixed in America. We get into the point, Shauna, where America is not just a nationality, that's our own ethnicity. Yeah, we got some ancestral home ties here. You know what I mean? Because and by the way, melting pot, Shauna, that's the point, right? That's what we call ourselves.
Yeah. But you would think that when you're fighting for legislation, it's for the betterment of all, not for you. You know, that's the shade of it all.
Fight, Shauna. That's the fight.
What's the fight?
Like, I still think we're fighting to get to equality, like equal opportunity, not equal outcome, but equal opportunity. And like, then there's that next level fight. Like we haven't been able to really level up yet. You get what I mean? We still arguing about some shit we've been arguing about for like 100 years ago, you know?
Yeah, but I think there's, history repeats itself. There's a lot to be learned that people are refusing to learn from history, and that's why we keep doing the same shit, just in different forms. Is because we're not getting the reasoning behind why people acted the way they did in certain situations.
Yeah, that's what bothers me with us being a nation. Like, we have to remember, as diverse as we are, there still requires level of homogeneity amongst us as people, and know that does not mean anything to do with ethnicity. That means no matter if you live in Maine or California, that U.S. history textbook is the same goddamn book. Nobody gets to make up their own fucking history depending on what state or district you live in. You get what I mean? Like, U.S. history is U.S. history. The only history textbook that should be different is your state history when you're getting down to the nitty gritty. But when it comes to U.S. history and world history in America, that should be the same damn textbook in Ohio, Florida, New York, wherever. But instead, we got all this different publishers and all this different states with different regulations about what's being taught, and there's no we don't learn the same shit.
Well, that's the problem with freedom to do whatever you want is what happens. That's why do individual states have the right to educate children about history, whatever they deem is acceptable. That's I got fucking flashbacks just right now from looking at the history book, and when it got to slavery, man, I wanted to fucking call in sick that day because every white face is looking at me. How
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Oh, that
It's
sad face
horrible.
look. Oh.
And of course, all those slaves were like, do, everything's great. We had a good time. The pictures. Imagine hey, have you read there's an excellent I don't even know what to call it, but I can't think about it now, but it's I guess a research paper. It's called the Sociology of Racism. Woo, that blew my wig right off, and I don't even wear a wig.
Oh, break it down for me.
What's that?
Break it down for me.
Oh well, I need to read again. I started reading it after when George Floyd was murdered. That was a start of my enlightenment, and so then bits and pieces are coming out and talking about racism as a social race as a social construct. I was like, what? I mean, I was like, wow. And then I kind of deep dived, and basically I haven't looked at it. It's been 3 years, so I can't tell you, but I would recommend to anybody and everybody. It's only like a few pages. I don't remember the dude's name, but it's called The Sociology of Racism, and it talks about, I mean, everything we already know, but it goes into detail about redlining, and then covert and overt, the genesis of that type of racism, and it's I don't think I even finished it, to be honest. I'm a loser, but it was really good. I mean, I was shocked and appalled when I realized that race is a construct. I was like, a social construct. After that, I started becoming militant. They're like, fuck all y'all.
Yeah, it was like, for me, it was particularly hard, and still kind of hard for me to. The one that part of history that gets me, Shauna, is post-Civil War, the Reconstruction era. That entire era pisses me the fuck off. Like, I try to take a step back and look at everything from an unbiased lens, just so I could get the full understanding. And it infuriates me. Like,
so
the first aspects of true domestic terrorism.
Yeah. When I growing up and people were talking about, white people, about or even black people, slavery. Well, black people owned slaves. Okay, they did. Yeah, they did. And I think it was that paper I read told me the difference, or I learned what the difference between, and I would quiz people. What's the difference between people, black people who own, or Africans who own slaves in Africa, and white people who own slaves in the United States? Do you know?
What's the difference?
The difference was the dehumanization. It's the systematic dehumanization of black people in the United States. Like in Africa, it's like, oh, you owe me some money, so you're gonna be my slave for whatever until you pay off your debt. Here, they stripped you of of our identity. I mean, to the point where you're not even human. And I'm like, man, slavery was the biggest fucking grift of the century of the, what's bigger than a century? I can't think of it right now, but it's like of a lifetime. And the fact that it's still going on Wow. I mean, it's almost artful and intelligent how we've been grifted to believing. I'm just like, wow. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of people don't, you know, it is not intentional, but when you really are able to trace the in chronological order and look at how things was operating, like for example, a lot of these dress codes came from black codes back in the day. Like these were the or what they called sundown. I think there was like sundown town laws, or however you say that.
yeah,
But basically, like it was illegal to be black after the sun was down.
right.
Like that was a literal freaking law. Like
Wow.
it was crazy. Like that's where a lot of like the debt peonage laws came from. Like for example, like after slavery, you couldn't just be a freed black man. You had to have what's called like a labor contract. You had to have your papers on you. That's where the original where your papers at. And if you didn't have a labor contract, they'd actually arrest you. And then that was the way to put you back into chain gangs, because we freed something like 4 million slaves that end up arresting like 2 million after the Civil War. Yeah,
Or not even telling them they were
crazy.
free. They were free. Not else.
Yeah.
Fuck that. They didn't even tell. Hey, I thought of something. Okay. I'm not trying to divert the conversation, but kind of. So when we were talking about that, had that big reparations conversation, and I talked about, and you're like, I said we need to be given land, and you're like, oh, the government will just give us the shittiest land. I said, so it's still land. So in the movie, the Killer of the Flower Moon, that's kind of what happened with the Native Americans. The government gave them the shittiest land, right? Because they, and turns out that motherfucker struck oil. It's like who cares if they give us, like, I'm not trying to ignite a debate again, but I remembered that it's like we will make whatever we have good, because that's what we've always done and that's in our nature. So give me the shittiest land. It's still it's my land, it's mine, it's owned, and that right there is more than I had before. But I just, that's exactly what's going to happen. They give you the shittiest land, you make the best of it, and because you own it. But then God blesses you, or whoever blesses you, and these people struck fucking oil and became millionaires overnight.
Right, but in real life, don't you think the U.S. government has like a pretty good geological map of the oil reserves here in America?
Well,
why would they put that? Why would they put us on that land?
Well, I think they're going to give us shitty land, but the fact that knowing its true potential, unless they're they prove that it sucks, which clearly they didn't do it with. Maybe they thought it did and it really didn't.
Yeah, because unfortunately, in real life, the majority of reservations in America are kind of.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt that. But then also, they're the land. They're not really trying to help them keep it.
They want to be their own nation, right?
Yeah.
That's the gift and curse. That's the drawback.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I would still take it. If they give me fucking swampland, it's mine. Fine. If it takes 30, 40 generations to make it into something, well, there you go.
Anna, can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
As much as I sympathize and empathize with indigenous tribes, especially because I have some of that heritage in me.
We all do.
I've always looked at the Indians and go, at the end of the day, you guys lost. You had the ability to fight and defend yourselves, and you lost.
Oh.
And then I remember that even when they got pushed out west, some of them tribes still want to give up their black slaves. They let them black slaves march right along with them.
Yeah.
No, okay. No, I don't want a reparations like the indigenous tribes. It already showed it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, we don't get it anyway, so I got to worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I gotta go to bed, man.
Yeah,
Hey.
I think it's time. We're gonna leave Conscious up here by himself.
Yeah, I had to take some phone calls.
Oh, that's cool.
And everything. So
Thank
thank y'all for holding it down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a great convo.
Having us. Yeah, it was fun as always.
Period.
All right. Well, thanks, Shauna, chopping it up with me.
Oh, yeah, Taru. Nice seeing you.
Dope.
Yes, thank y'all.
Y'all have a great night.
As always. Good night, y'all. We will see y'all tomorrow. Well, we'll see y'all later today, y'all. Thumbs up the stream, subscribe, share, all of that good jazz. And I will see y'all later. Bye.